right now.
Well, speaking of Mudwater and Rocket Jesus, welcome back,
Yeah,
everybody.
that's a great segue.
Yeah, it worked, right?
For sure.
I mean, Jesus probably just had a clone spell. Is probably what thing was. So
Welcome back, everybody. Last we left
space
Mystic
wizard.
Mechanicus. We had gone to Moonhaven by way of Lorelai's teleportation from the Feywild, where you immediately, or Ren immediately met up with some friends that he didn't remember at the Siren Song here. Which, hey, by the way, there's a Siren Song Moonhaven now. Surprise! Uh, Ren learned some information about themselves and retrieved their beloved music making plant, Dave, before heading back over to the School of Magic, where you met with Nessa Elbereth and Master Arenaris. Things got a little tense with the professor, with Jeffrey, with Master Arenaris. He wasn't too happy about seeing a void creature flitting about, and got him to put Jeffrey in his Pokeball while you continued to discuss and learn some information about what it is you're facing and the history of how it came around. When we left off, we were in Nessa Elbereth's office with all of you, Nessa and Master Arenaris. You were all having a lovely discussion about what it is you're facing. And Master Arenaris had suggested that you might be able to get some more information from the restricted area of the library. And I will bring you back to Moonhaven, where I will throw it back to you all. Where do you want to go next?
Do we want to go anywhere next, or are we still talking to these guys?
I thought we were
remember.
talking, but Ren doesn't have anything to say.
Yeah, I don't remember having any other outstanding questions for the wizards.
Um, Jade's going to suggest we head to the library then. Should we go to the library? And do we have to have a special permission pass to access the restricted area, or are they just gonna know we're allowed to? Or
Nessa and Arenaris kind of trade a glance, and Arenaris looks at you, Jade, and he says, "You can get into the restricted area with either mine or the headmistress's word. In which case, I would be happy to accompany you." He looks at the professor as he says that, and he says, "But I don't think it's a good idea for him to access the materials there."
Professor just crosses his eyes and looks grumpy. No, of course not. Much too dangerous for someone like me.
You've already experimented too much, and I fear where you're trying to go with it.
He just looks at the rest of the team and kind of does like a waving hand. He's like, go ahead. I'll wait outside.
Go ahead.
well, we can just try to find the bits and pieces that are important, and then let you know what we find.
Sure.
Naraka will cast message to the professor. My memory's pretty good, but I'll do my best to bring you what I think might be useful. Do you have a wish list of topics?
He shakes his head and will respond the same way. Just like, I don't think what I need to learn will be in this library.
Did Marsh just cut out for everybody?
Did I?
No? Okay,
Nope.
it's just me.
I
Sorry.
heard him.
Yeah, I heard him.
Thank
Okay,
God.
okay. It might just be me. I'm sorry.
All right. Yuki is gonna step forward and just say, Master Arnaris, I must make one final plea for Professor to come with us. You see, me and the monks in my order, we believe that there is balance, and balance can be obtained many ways, but one way is through knowledge, through understanding, and not having a full understanding of what you're doing can cause irreparable imbalance. And there is that saying, knowledge is power, and I feel Professor having knowledge about what we are up against with the void would be invaluable in our search to stop it.
You can give me a persuasion check.
Okay. That was good, right?
You did good.
The persuasion.
You have inspiration.
Yeah.
Aaron Harris rolls a nat 1.
You can't resist the little kitten eyes.
It's the floof. The floof is just. You cannot resist the floof.
You hear Aaron Harris kind of grumbles low in his throat a little bit. He looks to the professor and he says, the professor was a welcomed lecturer here at the university. I don't like where he's going in his research. And as you say, knowledge is power, and that knowledge is part of the balance, but I am afraid that he has already brought about the imbalance by letting that thing, and he looks at Professor's Pokeball, into this world. I fear that the power that he's trying to research, he's trying to use, and while his intentions may be good, that power always has the ability to corrupt whoever uses it. However, I am not one to stifle somebody from the pursuit of knowledge, and your intentions are noble. And we'll allow him into the restricted area, but keep a close eye on him for anything out of the ordinary.
We'll keep him in line.
Yuki will nod and say, the closest of eyes. And she'll look at the professor and give him a wink while Aranaris looks away.
Jade is quietly remembering the moment in time where the professor climbed up onto a roof and electrocuted himself. And sure.
Well then, if you are ready, I will escort you myself.
Yes. And we can also have Giza take a look at that scroll, too.
Of course. Giza will be the one to lead you into the restricted area.
Narco seems to immediately brighten up with the thought that we're going to go see the library. It's like our favorite place here.
He kind of...
She'll also grab the very fine dress that is on the hanger and very carefully stow it away in her briefcase. And give one more sincere thanks to Headmistress Elbreth for the wonderful gift.
she nods and smiles, and she says, "May you have a lovely wedding."
Nariko manages a smile and promises that should all go well, invitations are sure to arrive to her and a few of her other favorites here at the Academy.
Ah, wonderful. If things go that way, then I look forward to it.
Yep, gotta save the world first, scheduling conflicts. Anyway, library time, let's go.
So Master Araners will lead you kind of through these long, winding hallways. It's kind of like those big. I don't want to. They're not like marble tiles, but like that big kind of like well polished stone floor. You can hear your feet kind of click on the ground as you make your way through these hallways. There are students rushing past you, going one way or the other. Um, Master Araners will lead you around a corner, and you can see the grand entrance to the large library here in Moonhaven. He leads you inside the door, and he kind of winds his way through a couple of different bookshelves until he comes to a librarian's desk, where sitting at this desk, you find a light-colored tiefling. I'm sorry, not a tiefling, a light-colored tabaxi with long dark hair, gold jewelry in her braids, gold jewelry kind of all around. She's wearing a circlet around her head and looks a little bit like this. Uh, Master Naris looks down at her and he says, "Good afternoon, Giza." And she kind of looks up from whatever work she's doing. And she kind of is caught off guard. She has very much the same kind of look that Nariko has whenever she's kind of engrossed in her work. She kind of looks up with a smile and regards the rest of you, and she gives you a smile, and she says, "Oh, good afternoon. Hello. What can I do for you all?" Master Anaris, nice to see you." He smiles back, and he says, "Giza, these are Mystic Mechanicus, and a few of which who I'm sure you already know, Miss Narko von Grutzner and the professor are here as well." Giza kind of smiles brightly. She says, "Nariko! Oh, it's been so long. Welcome back."
Hello, Miss Giza. Yes, it has been a while since I wrote to you, but after I discovered that I might be heading to Moonhaven too, I thought we could catch up in person. Well, there might be some business first, but we'll get to that. And the professor is also here. He's been quite busy.
Oh, yes, the world traveler himself. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's nice to see you.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Aaron looks at her and he says, they're on some they're on an important quest for knowledge, Giza. I give them my pass to access the restricted area." And you see her eyes kind of widen, and she takes a step back, and she looks at you and looks back at him, and she says, "Are you sure?" And Master Anaris just simply nods. Giza smiles back at you and kind of like gives one of those like kind of claps, and she says, "Well, serious research indeed." Is there a certain area I can point you towards?
We are
Hello,
looking.
Miss.
Yes? What?
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
guys, I might be lagging, so go ahead and I'll say mine after.
Okay. Naruto says, well, we are looking for any sorts of historical and reference materials about magic relating to the void.
Her face kind of pales a little bit, and she looks back at Aeronaris again, who just once again simply nods. And she kind of like takes a breath and she says, "Void magic. Very well. Yes. Please follow me. Master Aeronaris, thank you. I will take it from here." Aeronaris kind of nods and he looks at the rest of you and he says, "Good luck." And you see his eyes again shift to Professor and he says,
Yes.
"Be careful."
The professor gives almost like a sage-like glance to Aeronaris, and he just says, "It is such a mortal thing, Master, to fear that which you don't understand, but it would be a shame to fear yourself out of learning something for the betterment of Pelennor. I thank you for your gracious help in allowing us into the library." And kind of gives a nod and moves his gaze elsewhere.
He again just kind of listens to you and he turns and walks away in that snooty Eladrin high elf fashion. Giza, meanwhile, will say, "Yes, let's get to it then." And she will lead you kind of deeper into the library, around some more bookshelves, and kind of into a corner that doesn't seem to be visited very often. What you see is a bookshelf filled with just mundane, uninteresting looking books, but you see she kind of waves her hand, and there is a shimmering effect that happens with this bookshelf, and as it shimmers, it kind of morphs into this old, like, ancient looking wooden door, like it was pulled off of like a super old shipwreck kind of door. Big, heavy wood, dark, all sorts of notches and scratches in it. She goes and she touches the handle, and the handle glows under her touch. There is a soft clicking noise, and the door opens. And she looks at you all and she says, "Please, enter. I will shut the door behind us."
As I pass her, I ask, did Temerity have access to the restricted section?
She looks at you and her gaze kind of lingers for a moment. And she says, "I knew Temerity well, and yes, she did."
It might be beneficial to know what, or at least what section she was in, if not exactly what she was researching.
I will show you when we're inside.
Thank you.
So the rest of you go inside?
Yep.
Yep.
Alright.
Yep.
She kind of follows in after you, closes the door. There's another shimmering effect, which is not as visible on this side, as there is no need to conceal the door from this side of things. But you can kind of feel that same kind of magic take effect. As you kind of go into this area, it does look like another part of the library that you stepped into, but you'll notice that there are no windows here. There are magically illuminated orbs that just kind of glow and hang about in the area. Bookshelves are filled with, instead of books, you see more things like scrolls and handwritten journals and other sorts of things in that same vein. And she kind of leads you inside. You see there is it's a squarish room where the walls are lined with different shelves holding different media. There are one or two kind of running down the center of the room, and right in the middle is a big square, like reading table where you can take these materials out and kind of read them. She gathers you all around this table, and she says, "Now," and looks at Aura and says, "To answer your question, yes, Temerity did have access to this part of the library. She was mostly focused on spells and information that would prolong life, and she herself did get interested in this void magic that you speak of, and from what I understand, well, you'll read through, but one of the things that she had mentioned to me about it was that there's a potential gateway to open to other worlds, not just other planes of existence that we know exist, but other worlds that we don't know whether they exist or not. I think she might have been looking to expand her clone spell to these worlds. Different ways to prolong life, I guess.
What do you know about void magic, Miss Geezer? You
Personally,
didn't have the best look on your face when we mentioned it.
not much. It was not a topic of study that I cared to delve into. I had heard from Master Anaris about it being otherworldly and having devastating effects, and I figured the less I knew about it, the less tempted I would be to want to learn more about it. But there are different writings that are here that are available that I'm not exactly sure what's in them, but we can look through them and look for whatever kind of information it is you're looking for. What is it that you wish to know?
We kind of need to know everything that there is to know about it. Because some people are out there trying to use it.
Perhaps the starting point would be getting a better idea of this Kurgalath the Whisperer, what its goals and its abilities are, and how it relates to the prismatic mages years ago in their scheme to open a rift. We know that the current villains we're chasing are after the Clavis, most likely to undo that sealing that took place. And any sort of locations, leads that we can follow to pick up their trail relating to that. We also, if there's any way to turn back void corruption after it's been introduced to an environment or to a person, allow us to certainly save a number of people who have fallen under curses relating to it.
Well, one thing I know about turning back the void is that if you ask Mr. Naris about it, he's kind of the foremost knowledge in the school on that sort of thing. He's mentioned that the only thing you really can do is destroy it. Wherever you find it, rip it out and snuff it out like a candle. But there are different writings here, as you can see. It will take some time to sift through it all, but I do have a couple of places that we can start. So the way this is going to go, as you are researching this library here, Giza will help find different materials for you to read. However, because these things aren't put together in like a comprehensive book or anything like that, they're all scattered throughout the library in different kinds of readings and scrolls and journals and all sorts of things like that. It will take some time um, to research this. So for each topic you're looking to find information on, it will take a couple of hours to get as much information as in this library. So, what we can do is we can do a series of skill checks with Giza helping you, we can do investigation checks with advantage, and if there's another person that would like to do an insight check, that will help you kind of cross-reference some things and possibly speed up the process. But to find all the information that there is on each of these topics, it can take a few hours up to a day.
Can I do the insight check?
Sure.
I'll volunteer for an investigation.
Okay, not awful.
How about that? Less awful?
It's fantastic.
Let's see. Do I have anything to boost up investigation? Not yet. I want Flash of Genius so much right now. Okay, so it's investigation with advantage?
Mhm.
Okay. Did Ren happen to get advantage on the insight check as well, or no?
No advantage on the insight unless there's somebody else that is working with her.
Him.
Huh?
Him.
Him?
Ren is a him.
Him, sorry.
I can
Included
work
my
with Ren
pronouns.
to cross-reference.
Sorry. Yeah.
It's okay. Ren has been everything. I just kind of go with it. Ooh, look at that. Nice investigation.
Cool. Hey, Professor, want to throw some guidance on me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice.
Hello, I am Naraka von Grootzner. I know books. They speak to me. Tell me your secrets.
Yeah, Ray, go ahead and give me another roll on your insight. See if you get any higher than a 16.
Ooh,
Hell
that's higher.
On the insight with the guidance. And a 29 for the investigation.
You guys are hella focused right now.
As Yuki is helping you cross-reference, she is purring. So
So, there were a bunch of topics that were thrown out there. Which one is it that you are the most interested in first?
Probably the one we would be most interested in first. Let's start with like our dramate personae of like Kergalath the Herald and the
Well, Kergalath and the Herald are two different people.
they are, but them like basically like let's identify our like culprits here. So it's like Kergalath the Herald, the Prismatic Mages, like the people who are on Team Void. Like, who are they? What do they want? And what have they done? Because that will help us determine like motives and plots that they're likely on board with right now.
Would those each be separate topics that would each take different hours to get through?
Kergalath is one topic, the Herald is another.
Cool.
So, it sounds like Kergalath was the first topic.
I would agree with that.
So, with that amazing investigation check, Nariko, what you're going to get on Kergalath is everything, all the notes that I have that are in this library, which I will put into Roll20 now.
Cool. Oh boy. Great old one. How much we can figure. Resided in the void. The source of magic.
And Ren, with your insight check being able to cross-reference, you pick out that this topic on Kergalath starts talking about blue mages. And I would like to know, as Nariko is researching this Kergalath, and Ren, you kind of pick up on the blue mages, so you kind of start looking through materials, and you start seeing more information about that. I'd like to know what the rest of you are doing during this time.
Well, Yuki was going to be helping Ren kind of cross-reference things.
Okay. How's well, you already kind of described she's purring and
Yeah, she's purring,
Giving
just
her
kind of
focus.
helping her.
It is very
Helping.
calming.
Super calming. And
I'm
then
just imagining Yuki like behind Ren, like paws up on the back, like doing the whole baking biscuits thing. But it's like, you got this, Ren. You can do it. Just like shoulder massage. You got this, champ.
100%. And she'll be, as she's making biscuits on Ren, Yuki will also be like scanning the pages, looking for like any buzzwords or anything to kind of, in case Ren might gloss over them or miss them. Yuki's just also kind of reading over their shoulder to double check.
okay. Jade, Professor Aura.
Yuki has clearly forgotten that she was supposed to be keeping an eye on the professor, so she's great at it.
That's okay. Jade didn't forget. I think Jade is going to be. She loves to read, but cannot read well. So it's taking her a very long time to get through to get through books that she's being handed off. So she's mostly, I think, busying herself with fetching books to give out to people that Giza brings over, and keeping herself as close as she is comfortable with being to the professor in case he tries to wander off. And if she gets a book that that for help cross-referencing or making notes for in whatever in her journal that she's got, so that they have it for later, she'll sit nearby the professor, and I think she's going to strike up a conversation with him while the research is going on over the course of the day. Which we can play out if everyone else tells them what they're doing.
Professor Aura?
The professor is very well aware of how much scrutiny he's under in here, but even despite that, he is, given that this is a place of learning, it is probably surprising how not excited he is in here. In fact, he's really uncharacteristically reserved, and he's not opening any books. He's kind of perusing like titles and reading through them, kind of looking over these dusty old tomes, making a couple notes in his own journal, more specifically for when it gets to time to start researching the how to purge the corruption and cleanse it, and the types of things he wants to know about the his scroll. He's being very patient and making sure that he's not setting off any alarms, and he knows that just knowing that everyone's kind of, even if they're not actively like watching him, to making sure he's not doing anything vile. He's very cognizant of how he may come off in here.
Okay. Aura?
Aura will be helping the party go through any reference material that's brought to them. However, if it's made clear that this is something specifically that Temerity was interested in, Aura will probably concentrate on that. And she will also be talking with Alatar, saying, hey, why was Temerity interested in this, and like what's going on and stuff.
Okay. So, I will first resolve with Ren and Yuki. Why don't the one of you give me investigation check as well, with advantage?
You got a bonus?
Investigation.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I've only got a +1.
Girl, you got more than me. Go for it.
All right, with advantage, you said.
Yep. Fucking hell!
Nerd party!
Wow!
Biscuits fix anything. What?
You get the full blurb of what I have to say about what's in my notes here that you find in the library. This is about the Blue Mages. Jade and Professor, do you guys want to chat
This way.
while this is going on?
Sure.
Yeah. So Jade is going to, after having helped gather the latest series of books with Giza, is going to settle down across the table from the professor from where he's writing, with her own book that she's very slowly paging through, and she's going to very very quietly, because it is a library and she's heard that you're not supposed to talk loudly in libraries. Look over to the professor and say, did you hear that Giza said that Temerity was trying to get her clone spell to work in other worlds?
Yeah. Something I've kind of been pondering myself. Why? Why would she want that?
Why wouldn't she want that if she could go other places?
I guess, but she would have to go to other places to get her clone spell in there, so she could just go there without setting up a failsafe for death.
Well, it seems like Temerity was really concerned with what would happen if she died. So maybe she was just making sure that, no matter where it was she was going, she always had a way to come back.
Yeah. What's troubling about that is the trouble that her clones have been getting into here. Can you imagine if there are just multiple existences, multiple realms, worlds, where there are Temerity clones doing exactly the same thing as they are here?
That was kind of what I was worried about too. Just what it might mean if... Well, I guess it depends on if she actually got to the other places or not before she could do it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible that she hasn't figured anything out yet, or maybe that's not even possible.
Or maybe that's why that Lorelei can't find her if they went somewhere else.
Ugh, I don't like the thought of that. You'd have to have some serious juice to outfox an archmage. Not an archmage, an archfey.
Well, I mean, she's a very powerful wizard.
Yeah, but archfey, I mean, Lorelei may not know a lot about magic, but she has her own power that's just otherworldly, just unfathomable.
That's true. I guess you did say that she also exists in all the other worlds as well, and she'd know if Temerity was somewhere. But it is concerning, right?
Very.
Are you okay?
Oh yeah, I'm fine.
You don't really seem fine, Professor.
Well, the master had a point in that. This is very dangerous information for anybody who has access to the void to have. Now, I really don't want to delve down that road, and I want to be as careful as possible, but also I am very well aware of how it looks from his perspective, and this is not a place that I want to ruffle feathers, if you will. This is a place of learning who's trying to protect it, so it's difficult to understand both sides of the coin and kind of live on both sides of the coin yourself.
Well, it's never nice to know that you're not particularly welcome somewhere. Or not trusted somewhere, anyway. But we trust you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Although, you might want to be a little bit nicer to Master Arenaris.
Oh, was I unpleasant?
Well,
It's not the
I guess it's not really unpleasant. It's just that before we left, you said it was very mortal of him to be afraid of things that he doesn't understand. Except he understands it a lot better than we do. And he had to watch all of his friends and everybody he knew get destroyed by this same thing a long, long time ago. And it sounds like he might be one of only a handful of people even left from back then. I know you don't really see death the same way as everyone else, but it's really hard for people when they lose people that they care about, especially when you live a really long time.
Oh, I absolutely wouldn't argue with that. You see, there's a big difference between seeing a thing and understanding a thing, and it seems to me that the Master has seen a lot of it, and rightfully so, very afraid of it, because to want to completely obliterate a thing because they've seen the damage it can do is, pardon my choice of language, but short-sighted. Perhaps understanding it better will put you in a place to prevent such things from happening again. Stamping a thing out is very, very hard. I don't know if you've ever tried to completely eliminate something, but
I mean, you're not wrong, Professor, but we also have to understand that maybe trying to understand it and learn about it is the very reason that they all got lost in the first place. You said that you were feeling the corruption already, and you haven't even been using it that long. The mages, when they first discovered it, were using it we don't know how long. And if they didn't know what it was and they were trying to understand it and they were trying to learn more about it, and that's how it got them, I just mean, don't be upset when people are trying to protect you, because they might, just because he might not understand everything about it doesn't mean he doesn't know more than you do about it already.
oh, that was not by intention by saying that, and sorry if that's how it came off, but what I was saying to him is he kind of pauses and tries to think of the words he wants to use, and that it's easy to forget where you came from. And as people of learning, professors, teachers, scholars, anyone really who really delves into and studies a subject, it's very easy to forget why you studied a thing, or why you endeavored to learn and understand more. The more you learn about a thing, the further you get away from the reason why you started. And this isn't even me having anything to do with the void. This is me as a scholar myself, is that fear is very powerful. And that's seen everywhere, but especially in the realm of academia, that being afraid of something will turn a lot of people away from it and stop them from trying to understand it better. And which is absolutely understandable, but if you do that, then you run the risk of not understanding it at all, and everyone else suffers. So, for example, and this is really primal, but fire. When the humans first discovered fire, it's incredibly scary. They saw the way it destroyed homes and trees and killed people. And can you imagine if everyone who saw all that destruction thought, no, fire is not to be trusted. It needs to be stamped out. wherever it is, it crops up. We should never wield it. No one should wield it. And anyone who does is dangerous. Now, granted, fire is very dangerous and can be used for destructive things, but think of everything that came about because we wielded it, because we learned it, we studied it, and got to know how to use it properly without hurting others, how to manage it safely. Our entire civilization would not be here if it weren't for those people who were brave enough to say, look, yes, that's scary, but I need to know more so that way we can use it.
But that's under the assumption that everything is that way. That everything can be used in a good way, and that everything can be something other than destructive force. Everything can be destructive as we know it, because that's how things work here based on our own world. But, Professor, I'm not saying you're wrong at all. You're right. Everyone needs to study things that are scary. But fire doesn't take over your mind and promise you stuff. You know? I don't believe fire ever whispers into your mind and tells you to go collecting things for it and makes you make a warlock pact with it. I'm pretty sure it's just fire. It's
but
just, I think,
back when fire was a novel new thing, for the people who learned to use it correctly and learned to wield it, it wasn't just fire, it was power. And for humans, and I will say this loosely as a generality based on experiences with humanity, is that absolute power corrupts just as much. So to the people who could wield this fire, learn to use it as a weapon, which meant gave them more reason to learn about it more. But that's kind of arguing semantics. What the crux of my argument is that it's not exactly the same, no, but you can never know if it is or not unless you learn.
Okay, but then let's say you're right and you learn it and it corrupts you entirely and makes you do horrible, terrible things. And you don't even know they're horrible and terrible because it's taken you over entirely. Just like it took over Rockamira. And then those horrible and terrible things that are done are things that you can never undo. And you don't even know that they were horrible and terrible because you're not even yourself anymore.
Well, that's just kind of the way of the world, isn't it? And
It's,
we
but
can't
it's
say
not.
that what Rockamira was doing was a result of corruption. She could have just not understood what she knew. But what I'm getting at, Jade, is that fearing a thing is not a reason not to understand it, because we can't possibly understand it until we research it. We have an idea. You have a very strong idea about what it is that we're fighting against. I have a very strong, we all do, because we see it. We've seen the destructive powers. And my ideal here is that we can want to get on the same side. And maybe that's the wrong way of saying. We could get on the same level as Master Aranaris. We could look at it and say, this is too dangerous to exist. We need to stamp it out. But this thing is kind of like fire in that way, in that you can stamp out a flame here, but it smolders. There are fires everywhere. You can't stamp everything out. So wouldn't it be better to, while you're doing this, understand and at least try to find a way to heal those who are burned by it, rather than looking at someone who's been burned by a flame and say, you are a lost cause, and we need to stop this before anyone else gets burnt. Don't you want to be able to heal them? Help them?
You can't heal people with fire who's been burned, Professor. You heal them with something else.
The knowledge. And I'm not even talking about magical knowledge. People have been healing burns by understanding what a burn is, how the burn came about. What kind of burn is it? Is it a fire burn? Is it an acidic burn? Is it a burn due to friction. These are the types of things that we want to learn. And I know it's very scary when we're dealing with this primal force such as the void, but people are getting burned and we can't heal them without understanding how they're getting burned. I
And
firmly believe that given enough time and resources, we can heal it in some way. And can you imagine if we were in that mansion with Rockamira and she was talking to us about Kargaloth, the Whisperer, and her very strong ideals about balance, and we could say with certainty that this isn't you. This is the corruption speaking. Let us help you, and you will be able to see absolutely, rather than leading her down a road that inevitably ends her life.
again, Professor, I'm not saying that you're wrong. And I do want to try to help people, and I do want to try to heal them and make it better so that we don't have to kill anyone and they don't have to take their own lives. But you also have to entertain the idea that you are wrong. You might be wrong because it's very possible that you are. I know
If I
you're really
give you the
excited to.
explanation that I'm closed off to the idea that I might be wrong.
It seems to me that you're so excited to learn about it, you're not really concerned about what the consequences of it might be. Because you keep wanting to push on, and I don't think we should stop. I just want you to be careful, is all I mean. Just be careful and understand that people who have been there before you might have a real good reason to be warning you away. And you can't just dismiss that as them being afraid of something they don't understand. Maybe it's like fire, and maybe they're afraid of it because of how destructive it is. And it could be used for good, and we could use it for other things. Or maybe it's something that they looked at once with wonder and wanted to make better and wanted to utilize it and harness it and change the world with it. And instead, it was everything they didn't even know they should have been afraid of. Just be careful, is all I mean. I don't want to see you end up like Rockamira.
He kind of looks at Jade quietly for a moment, and he nods a bit. He's like, I think that perhaps the method of study is being misunderstood here. And he pulls out his journal and flips through it to the page that has the void spell in it. He says, this is all I have to go on because we're not able to find other means of study. And he leaves the paper over halfway through, and he very carefully, with his forefinger and his thumb, tears the sheet out along the spine, and he folds it up and hands it to her.
She'll take it.
Hold on to that. That is the one access to the void that I have. The one and only way that I have a means of studying. And this is my guarantee, my promise to you, that I'm not doing this haphazardly. This isn't I don't believe that I could be wrong. This isn't I don't think that there's any other way. This is me being careful. This is how we be careful. But if it makes you feel better, if it makes us feel better, I won't touch it until you give it back.
Jade's going to take the folded up folded up paper, and she's going to very carefully put it in her own journal. Still folded up, and she's going to press it in between some of the pages that are there and close her journal on it. If you think you need it, you tell me and I'll give it back to you. I do trust you, Professor.
Look, Jade, I understand and I appreciate where you're coming from with all this. And thank you for being so candid with me. But I think that the general thought and feeling among most of the people who have seen the void but don't practice it is that this thing is mind-altering. I don't want you to give it to me when I ask for it. I want you to give it to me when you feel it's right. So I won't be asking for that back.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready for me to continue on this in this way? You do what you think is right.
Okay. Well, I'll hold on to it then until I think we need it.
He nods. And he just says, but I will be holding on to this. And he kind of gestures to the pocket that he keeps Jeffrey's crystal and says, the moment we leave here, Jeffrey's coming back out. I don't believe that he is a danger. And if he ever gives me reason to, I'll be the first one to let everyone know. But I don't know.
Jade nods. I don't think Jeffrey's dangerous either. I mean, maybe he is in a way that like any kind of creature can be dangerous, but he's never tried to hurt anybody, and it doesn't seem like he's trying to influence you anywhere. But maybe, you know, I mean, I don't know. Didn't you say that Jeffrey said that there's not people in the void? There's not creatures there?
Well, I mean, he's a creature from the void, but it's
Is
different.
Well, I guess my question is he a creature from the void, or is he the void that became a creature? Because we see what the void does when it's here and it is affecting physical things. What if it... I mean, you manifested him because you touched a little bit of the void, not even knowing it was there, and there was a bunch of magic around. Maybe that's what happened when it interacted with the magic.
Well,
I could be completely wrong.
You're close. I did it by using an altered find familiar spell. The spell is designed to take a spirit from either the Hells or the Feywild and manifest it into a form that's familiar here. It was, rather than reach out to those realms to find something, it was altered to reach out only to the surroundings of that room. And what was in that room was residual void magic. So it reached out, touched the void, reached into the void, and this Jeffrey's what came out.
Well, either way, I agree that Jeffrey should be out with us, not stuck in his crystal.
He smiles and says, you see, that is a willingness to learn without fear.
Well, I mean, it's also Jeffrey is a person and shouldn't be locked away just because of what he is.
He gives a knowing wink. Like, that's the difference between us and the other people. Some other people out there.
Again, you're not wrong. But they may not be wrong either. Although they are wrong about Jeffrey. So I think we can let him out when we're out of here.
We will.
As the two of you are having this conversation, Are you guys looking through any of the books or anything in this library?
Jade's definitely has a book that she's that she was sitting down to go over when she started talking with the professor.
Jade, why don't you
Yeah, the
give
professor's.
me... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask for investigation check, but I'd like to know what the professor's doing.
He's very careful not to open any books because he doesn't want to give the wrong idea. But he very much wants to have his scroll looked at, and he very much wants to see if there's any inclination in here about purifying void corruption specifically.
Okay. So then with the book that Jade is looking through, I would like Jade to give me an investigation check. Professor, if you were kind of
Okay.
looking over her shoulder, Jade may make this with advantage.
Yay. Yeah, she's definitely going to set her book down now that the professor and her have had their little heart to heart, and she's going to be, I'm trying to read this, but I don't know some of these words. If you could help me sound them out, and she'll roll. It's investigation.
Yes.
I have my digital dice right now. Let's see how well they treat me. Sixteen with guidance.
You do find a book. You find some interesting information. All this talk about the blue mages and stuff going around. You do see a mention of them in the book that you are currently reading, and I will throw some information that you find in the Roll20 chat.
I'm going up and getting my real dice, by the way.
Meanwhile, while this is happening, Aura, as you are asking Alatar kind of the stuff about what Temerity was doing down here, what Temerity knows, and what Alatar can tell you about what Temerity was doing down here. Alatar gives you some information that you probably already know. Temerity was looking for a way to prolong life, to find a way to extend her own. She had heard, as Giza mentioned, she had heard about this kind of this kind of split in this theorized split in worlds where she could potentially reach out to other worlds and possibly place. She had the idea of possibly placing some of her clone pods there. Some additional information that Alatar gives you is that Temerity would regularly, under the nose of Giza and everybody else, without their knowing, to her knowledge, sometimes slip some of these books out of the restricted section of the library to take for her own use. Now, what she would do with these books, she would regularly meet up with an ex-student of the school, a tabaxi named Rufus. She would not meet with him at her house. As a matter of fact, she wouldn't take anybody home or let anybody else see where she lived. But she would take him to a lab that she had in the sewer, and Alatar would be able to guide you there if you wanted to see it.
I would write into Alatar. I would like to see it. How long were her and Rufus meeting for? How far back did that go?
Crap, it's in my lore document. Let me find it. Hang on. I wasn't prepared.
Quick, switch the timeline.
I have from our talk with Lorelei that Rufus and Temerity were meeting about 8 months ago. If that's helpful.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are keeping better notes than I am. I mean, I have them. They're just all over the place.
Good days and bad days. That was a good day.
So yes, so Temerity was meeting Rufus as far as 8 months back. It wasn't long after that that Rufus and some other students and even an instructor were expelled from the university, or from the university, you call it the university, from the school. But after that point, she would continue meeting with him outside of the school in secret.
Is it normal for her to trust people that quickly?
No.
Suspicion.
What's your opinion of Rufus?
He's driven towards some kind of knowledge, but he is very clandestine about it, and has a borderline obsession with the topic of being able to travel between worlds. Talks about this kind of interest being sparked after a trip to the Feywild.
Do you think the other worlds are what interested Temerity, or do you think there was some nefarious reason that she grew close to him so quickly?
The reaction that you get from Alatar is almost like he almost seems insulted that you insinuate that Temerity would do anything nefarious, but that her research did seem to be of a
not that she would do something nefarious, that he did something nefarious to make her like get her attention, or like make her become his friend, essentially.
Did he slip her a friend's ruby?
Alatar would let you know that he doesn't think so, but Rufus did have a way of kind of telling Temerity everything she wanted to hear. Scruffy the wizard janitor. Any other questions or any other follow-up you would like for Alatar?
Not at this moment.
All right. So, Professor and Jade they find this kind of blurb about these chromatic mages. Since Jade gave me the investigation check, Professor, why don't you give me an insight check?
Oh, I'm going to be the only one to have a shitty roll.
Hell yeah!
Okay. So, 14. So, you're reading through this, and you feel like, as you're reading through this, you should be able to find some other information that this... You should be able to think of some other topic, find some other kind of information that this relates to. But for some reason, there's something kind of clouding your mind, and it's like one of those things. It feels like it's on the tip of your tongue, but you can't quite find the words.
That goes for both of us?
That's for you trying to cross-reference something from what Jade is reading.
Okay. Kind of scrunches up his nose like, frustrating. I feel like there's something there that I know it, but I can't recall it.
I hate when that happens. Sometimes, what helps me, my sister taught me, is that sometimes you got to get up and retrace all your steps, and then it comes to you.
I don't know if I have enough steps left in me for that.
What?
Is there a check that I can do to see if this is just me just not remembering something, or if there is something more blocking this from my mind?
Why don't you give me an insight check? Another one. Yeah. An insight into yourself.
Okay, 15.
Dun dun dun.
This this frog in your brain.
Damn, is this head on a pike again? Because I'm over that.
Better than a brain chicken, just saying.
Oh, wait, what's a brain chicken? Is it when your chicken
Brain
is a brain?
like eggs.
Those are intellect
Ooh.
factors, and I love them.
Okay, we're focused. Not really.
This this fog in your brain is even kind of keep getting in your way of being able to kind of really understand what's going on with yourself at the moment. Nothing really comes to mind.
Maybe I'm tired.
It's kind of been a trying few days, and then you were drunk, and then we went to the Feywild, and then we came here almost immediately. So it's been a bit. You've been through a lot.
Yeah, you don't get drunk and go to the Feywild on a whim typically. I think you're right. Maybe I'll feel better tomorrow.
Maybe. Well, I mean, we found some good stuff here in these few books. Maybe we can take them to the rest of the other team, and maybe they'll be able to think of something that we're missing. Because honestly, I can't think of anything either.
Good idea.
So at this point, it's going to be about 2 or 3 hours have passed. You've been able to find a lot of this information in a very short amount of time, despite how much it has been like scattered and kind of parsed out. You guys have been like super hyper focused on finding this stuff, and you found a lot. Like I said, in a record amount of time. Back to Naruko and Yuki and Ren. So you guys have kind of at this point have kind of gone through the materials, found the information that you were looking for on these topics. Is there something else you would like to shift your attention to?
Yes, I have a lot of topics.
Okay.
Going back to original list. Well, we got information on the Prismatica and the Blue Robe, so that's fine. We got information on Kurglath. Before we get started, the next topic Narco's interested in is the Herald. And prior to digging into that, she's going to take out her notes about the ancient writing of Kekabeshian. Because I believe Naruko knows that Giza was previously a Sphinx before she was given her current form, which she will have until she dies, or she can acquire some 9th level spells for herself to get herself re-sphinxified. I don't know if Naruko would be aware that Giza was like with Sepka necessarily, but she would definitely know ancient Kekabeshian, and also this is related to the thing we're about to research, so she would lay that out for Giza and say that this was something that they had found. It was being transported between Weyburn and Red's Wharf, and it might be of interest to her.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about... Okay, I know what you're talking about. That parchment that you guys picked up. She takes that and she says, "Oh, yes, I..." She, like, reads it effortlessly. She even, like, speaks it in the ancient native Kakabeshian tongue as she's reading it out. And you see her face kind of grows a little bit more grave, and she says, "Someone else put Ankesh up to it. That's troubling. I did not know that." Huh.
And whoever this Herald is, we have reason to suspect they're connected with the ongoing efforts to rip open the void and bring Kurgalath forth. So,
Well, then the Herald is somebody that I am very interested in trying to find more about myself.
and with that, Herald is our next topic.
Herald is the next topic. go ahead and give me an investigation check with advantage.
Oh, it's only a 30 this time.
Only a 30.
Damn.
Yuki and Ren, are you assisting with kind of looking through these materials with Naruko as well?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
We're very helpful.
We are very helpful.
Fantastic.
Helpful and adorable.
Absolutely.
You guys are
In like
fine.
a golf kind of way.
I'm not gonna lie. I was anticipating this to be like a bit of downtime, like to spend almost like a couple of days on. But you guys are like killing these investigation checks. Like you're gonna find everything tonight.
I mean, you can just say that your investigation check means you found it in a day. You didn't have to scale it down to hours.
That's all right. I've
You can
already
also
done
just say that we are the nerd party.
it. It's already out there. It's already
we
done.
are.
So again, with an amazing roll from Naruko with Giza's help, you do find information about the Herald.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I can find Harold's IP address.
Hell yeah. We're gonna dox that bastard.
And then Yuki and Ren,
Is me?
if either of you would also like to give an insight check to try to cross-reference any other information in this library, you may feel free to do so.
I got a +5.
Same.
You got +5 too? Okay,
Yeah.
fine. You do this one. I did the last one.
Okay.
Why don't
Eat
you
it.
do it with advantage, since both of you are kind of working on this?
Okay.
Go for it, Yuki.
Oh god. May stop
this.
helping.
All right.
Hey. So 16.
So, in researching the Herald and the Whispering Ones, you come across a name. That name is Raiden Greylith. And then why don't the two of you give me an investigation check? One of you give me an investigation check with advantage.
You want to do that?
Mine is a +0. I would really like to not do that if you have better.
Okay, I got it.
You got it.
Very nice. So
Hell
the name comes up, and you start looking for materials about this person, and this is what you find. Give me a moment. Okay. So that's what you get on that. So now, as you guys are all reading through this information, I would again like to gauge the party and see what everybody is up to, what anything else you're looking for, any other conversations you want to have. By this point, you'll be getting into kind of late evening. So, Professor, do you want to approach Giza with your scroll?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, Giza, looks at the scroll and she unfurls it. You see, even though this seems to be written in Kakabashian, and she read that parchment that Naruto produced with flawlessly, she seems to be having trouble sounding out some of the writing on this scroll that you've presented her. And she kind of frowns, and you can tell that she's frustrated. And she looks at you and she says, "Well, it's definitely a spell scroll, and it's written in Kakabashian, but it's a dialect I'm actually not familiar with."
The professor frowns. Like, of course. Is there anyone else still around who might be more fluent in the varying dialects of Kakabeshian?
You see her lips, she kind of smirks a bit in the corner of her mouth, and she says, "Have you ever been to Edme?"
He looks at her for a moment, and his mouth just quirks just barely into a smile. And he says, "The God King."
The God King.
Do not call him that around Lorelei.
I guess that probably would have been where I would have gone next. He has the most fantastic stories.
He's the only other person I know alive that has the best chance of being able to decipher this for you.
Well, then, he kind of glances back around the party, knowing, like, his mind is very firmly on almost the taunting smirks of Lorelei about going back to the Twilight Tavern. And he says, "It's like I'm going back to Edme."
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, I'm just dying to know this scroll. That's all. That's the only reason I want to go back to Edme. That's it. And they have these fantastic tarts. They have raisins in it and a lot of sugar. Fantastic. The Anubai, amazing bakers.
Professor, your stuttering is interrupting my stuff. Quiet.
You've never had a problem with my talking over your reading any other time.
I very rarely read anything this intently. Do you try to maintain the atmosphere? We are in a library.
He rolls his eyes so hard you could probably hear it.
It's okay, Professor. You come sit next to me. In that chair that's a second away from mine, and we can talk about all the pastries that are in Edme that you liked. You've been there before?
I've spent the better part of a year there.
Oh, that's a long time. I think that's a long time.
Depends how long you live.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess a year is a long time when you don't. So is it a big place?
Like,
Well, a whole year there. It must have been a lot to do.
oh, I did, like, Edme, that was my sort of center of operations on the continent while I was doing my research there. I didn't stay in Edme like the entire year. That's just where
where you kept going back to.
Yeah, place to
Oh.
take dinner and engage in friendly conversation, drinks and sleeping and nothing else.
Oh, did you make some friends while you're there?
Oh yeah. All the people who kind of live and work there, they're all very nice.
Oh, that's great. Then we can meet some of your friends that are different friends than us. You guys are my only friends, so it'd be nice to meet extra friends.
Mm-hmm.
Professor, your face looks weird.
Well, that's rude.
Sorry. That was rude. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. You're doing this thing, and she makes her face try to like she's trying not to scrunch it up. It's like very still. You're doing this, and don't normally see you make that face.
That's my face when I'm talking about something completely mundane, nothing else. That's all it is. We're going to go back somewhere and we're going to talk to Sika. We're going to look at my scroll. We're going to have a fucking butter talk. Stop asking me questions.
Jade just like kind of shrinks back. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's fine. 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 It's fine. We're all fine. It's all totally fine. This is the face I make. Sometimes I have a face. It does this. Sometimes your face does this. And he just kind of thinks for a moment and does a really awkward smile, not really knowing if that's actually something that she does. She's like, eh?
Yeah, I'm sure my face does that. I'm gonna take this book to Noriko so that she can look this one over.
Okay.
And she'll just hurry away from him.
This is going to be problematic.
All right. So a lot of information coming out. Is there anything else you guys are looking for?
Jade would also like to see if there's books on other worlds.
So
Or the research surrounding potentially other worlds.
what Giza will tell you, Jade, is that not much is written about any knowledge of other worlds, because that actual knowledge doesn't seem to exist. It's all kind of theory, and it's all stuff that's talked about. It's kind of like how, we talk about parallel dimensions and whether they exist or not. There's really, it's a lot of speculation. But there is nothing specific in this library about alternate worlds.
Oh. Well, thank you for the information. We just got here from the Feywild. Well, technically, we came into the Siren Song, and then from the Siren Song we came to our headmistress's office, and then we came here. But we came from the Feywild, and we talked with the Queen there, the Summer Queen there, and she said that other worlds did exist, and she knew that because she existed in all of them.
Giza's jaw just kind of drops.
So, do you, we're allowed to call her one time. Do you want me to ask her to, tell you about it?
She kind of stammers a bit, and she says, I would love to know more about the actual existence of other worlds, but I couldn't possibly ask you to turn in your one.
Oh, well, I mean, we have to call her one time, and I'll just add that on to the end of it. She didn't say we had a limit of what we could talk to her about in that one time.
Giza lets out a full laugh. And she says, isn't it great when the Fae get caught in their own shortcomings?
Is yes the appropriate answer to that?
It is for me.
Oh, then yes. I'm sure it was definitely not intentional, and that is funny for that misfortune.
Splendid.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
She'll go sit with Nariko.
Anybody else? If there's nothing else, then I would say, why don't you, one of you, anyone, doesn't matter who, give me an insight check with advantage.
Sorry, by anything else, did you mean like we were on sort of the next round of research, or the current one's still ongoing?
It's kind of, we're kind of free at this moment.
I have +7 to insight.
I have
Ooh.
+7 to investigation.
My +5 and I are gonna go sit in the corner back out.
I can. Do you want me to roll it? Is insight right?
Yes.
Just insight?
It's cocked. There we go. 19.
23.
23.
Woo!
From that last passage, where it talks about Raiden, there is a mention of something called an event called the Shadow Binding, which I believe you have also all heard before.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing that last passage about Raiden kind of prompts you to keep digging more into this topic. So I would like somebody to give me an investigation with advantage.
Not me.
Anybody.
I can.
Yep.
I will.
Go nuts. Do your thing. Do that thing.
That is a 23.
That is 25.
25.
25. Kind of going off of that last passage, you do find some documentation that talks a little bit more extensively about an event called the Shadow Binding.
Oh, wall of text.
Unsurprisingly, the Clavis was going to be my next suggestion for the next research role.
It's all related.
I'm imagining Joe has used one of those little storyboarding programs where it allows you to like make little idea bubbles and then like throw strings between the two of them, and we're just kind of like going along that route as we're doing our checks.
That would have been great. Joe makes the word bubbles himself.
It was more, there's just like a bunch of word vomit in a table on in my notes, and I'm like, what leads to what?
Very effective though.
That's the fun thing about life, is that when we find we pull on one thing, we find out it's connected to everything else.
Mm-hmm. So finding all this information at this point, you're getting pretty late into the night. At this point going forward, I'll say we'll go a little bit more freeform. So I won't hold anybody to like any kind of rounds or anything like that. So if there's anything else you guys wish to look at or try to research while you were here, have at it. Otherwise, as I said, it is getting late, so you are also welcome to move on to the world. I said this to Jenna earlier. The world is your oyster, but she said, I don't like seafood. So I said, okay, the world is your chocolate cake. So right now, the world
Way
is your
better.
chocolate cake.
7-layer cake with caramel sauce on top.
Yeah. We already know like about the Clavis and most likely where it's located at this point. but just for thoroughness, Naruto is going to do some research on that as well.
Yeah, do another investigation check.
Okay, just a 20.
Only a 20 this time. So again, Giza will let you know. Aside from what was found in that last passage about the shadow binding, the clavis was a blue gem, which you already know. It was kind of the gem itself was a crystal that was mined from the Uzarin Mountains, kind of to the north of where Valifor is currently, which is where the Dead Forest was previously from Campaign 1. This gem that was mined, the mages of the Magus Prismatica kind of poured a bunch of arcane energy into it because they believed that it had the ability to seal up whatever was trying to come through from the void, and they were successful in doing so. The mages had elected one person to be the caretaker of this gem, which you all now know is a mage named Aleda. But Aleda has hidden it away, and basically it has kind of written itself out of history after that point. But this gem, no doubt, is some kind of item of great arcane power.
Good to know. And then after that, Professor is already looking for evidence on healing and reversing corruption. Naruto is absolutely throwing her academic weight behind him to get as much as we can on that topic.
So, no investigation check needed on this one because, again, Giza would volunteer the information that they, as far as she knows from what Master Arenaris has told her about the topic and some other journals and letters and writings by him, indicate that they had not really had any time or capacity to try to heal the corruption. Whenever they would approach it, it was kind of like they would find these corrupted just patches of living plant, and it seemed to happen exclusively in biological matter, that these things would come to life and they would be aggressive and they would try to kind of consume and corrupt the environment around it. They could not find any way of stopping it, and they've tried means like, removing curse, restoration spells, healing spells, warding spells, all that kind of stuff did not seem to keep this thing at bay. It just seemed to be able to kind of keep eating through whatever they were trying to throw at it. The only thing they could do to keep it from spreading was to destroy it. And by the time that it had become widespread, there was no time to try anything else. So, at the current moment, there is no knowledge of anything that can stop or, pause the spread once the corruption gets to a certain point.
Is there any documentation anywhere here that kind of speaks of the following the shadow binding? It's documented that the very earth itself was corrupted, creating like this hellish landscapes. But do those landscapes still exist? Because I think that within the professor's peer review of where he's been, he wouldn't be able to, and you can correct this if I'm wrong, but he wouldn't think of any specific location that comes to mind as being, this is where the Whisperer came through and this was corrupted land and is still corrupted to this day.
Why don't you give me an investigation check, Professor?
Investigation. I got a 22.
The only speculation that you can find on this sort of thing is that once the source of the void, once the source of the corruption was cut off, only then were things able to start kind of returning back to normal. The land masses themselves that kind of formed, and we're talking maybe like unnatural, like mountain and hill and rock formations and things like that. Once the source of that corruption had been cut off through the shadow binding, then they were able to kind of go back and kind of re-engineer the land to kind of, I don't want to say erase the history of that, but to kind of like remove the memory of that corruption from the land and from the people who were there to witness it.
Okay. Just kind of got a bunch of druids doing their druid thing.
Kind of, yeah. So bottom line is they weren't really able to do anything with it until the source of that corruption was gone, was sealed off or sealed away.
So basically it seems that remove the source and then you can patch up what was left. That's not nothing. I mean, this is entirely theoretical at this point, but if you remove access to the void, that corruption should be able to be healed once the door is closed.
It makes sense, I guess, because you kind of stopped. I don't want to keep saying infection, but it kind of brings to mind, like, you know, when you get sick and you work, if like you're a doctor and you work with people who are sick all the time, and then you get sick because you keep going into work to help people. But if you take some time off and let yourself heal, you know, then you're not continuously sick.
Yeah. I guess what this world needs is a doctor.
Well, hopefully we can do doctory things.
Yes, okay.
That are not icky.
Good to know.
Well, it's a good place to start. At least we know that it was done, just not to people. No, we just have to find out how to druid people.
Well, let me know if here's hoping that the idea of stamping out any evidence of the void didn't translate to just stamping out any people who touched it, even after the void was removed. I still have hope that people were cured.
Maybe. I mean, it was so long ago, though, that those people, unless they were elves or something, probably aren't with us anyway.
Yeah.
Never mind.
What? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, you were the helper of a god of death. Do you have a way to contact them? Maybe they know of a soul that passed away that was part of that whole thing, and maybe we can talk to it. Them?
You want me to see if I can contact my old boss?
Yep.
Not easily. I mean, we could certainly try. We didn't part ways on bad terms or anything.
It's just an idea if we run out of other options.
I mean, we've talked to
My dad?
your dad. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to talk to Kellenvor. I just...
You don't have a divide to talk to him with?
The only way I can think of to reach out is to do what everyone else does and get on my knees and pray.
Why on your knees? I don't understand.
I don't know. I just always see in like the children's books, you always see children kneeling at the ends of their beds with their hands like this, and he presses them together in a prayer form, like this. I never really quite understood that. Is that like, do they think that your hands are some sort of antenna that really amplifies the prayer signal? I don't actually know.
Maybe it's more of trying to get you. I mean, it's really hard for little kids to concentrate, right? Maybe it's just, when you're bigger, you can think things and do things, and you can still concentrate on it. Maybe with little kids, you're trying to block out all the noise.
Or maybe
So
like
you got to close your eyes, and you got to like keep your hands to yourself.
maybe it's like spellcrafting, that you have somatic components to having really good prayers that get answered. I mean, it's worth trying.
I mean, maybe, but wouldn't that mean that every god has a different type of somatic component? I don't know how to do that from my dead.
Have you ever met like a cleric of Tempest? They pray by swinging big hammers. Angrily.
There was a man with a hammer on the ship with my grandmama. I don't think he was a cleric of anyone though. I think he just really liked his hammer.
I once knew a woman, a cleric of Tempest, who, like, the most devout person I've ever met in my entire life, and she very much let Tempest guide her through her hammer. So perhaps it's the same thing. But I mean, I can't really swing a hammer, and I'm not really looking to talk to Tempest, so I'll see what I can do. And I mean, maybe I could, if I can't figure that out, I can get some pointers from her. I'm sure there's a sending stone somewhere, or some means of contacting her. I'll figure it out. Give me a night.
Sure, you can have his. I mean, it's not like we have to talk to him right this second. So yeah, of course, take as long as you need. But it's still good news. It is getting kind of late. Should we? Do we want to? Are we staying longer, or just going to come back tomorrow, or should we go somewhere now?
I think it would do everyone a lot of good to get a good night's rest after whatever the hell all this is. And he just kind of gestures to like everywhere. It's like giant ship behemoths and eldritch ducks and Feywilds and very strong liquor and teleporting and temerities, and I could use some sleep.
We also haven't eaten since the Feywild, so
You don't have to tell me that.
I'm worried because if Noriko keeps reading, she's not going to remember to eat, and then she might pass out again. And so I need to get her some food.
Speaking of which, since we've more or less exhausted the plot-related stuff, has Noriko come across any books in the scanning that might interest her in her studies of like, oh, these are the books about like mechanics and making explosives that the professors didn't want me to see during my time. I don't think Noriko's getting into like super forbidden magics, but I'm just curious if there is anything.
Let's say high or low.
Hi.
Correct.
That sort of information doesn't seem to be forbidden. No mechanics manuals or anything in this restricted part of the library.
Well, I'd have laughed if I found out like, so it turns out there was a crashed spaceship and we found all these laser pistols and we were not ready for that right now. Meanwhile, Nariko's over here like, ooh, 3d6 radiant damage on a single weapon attack?
Nice.
We'll have to wait until we go to the Star Wars dimension before we can get into that, unfortunately.
I will change my class if I get to use a fucking lightsaber.
Priorities.
Everyone's so jealous. Yuki gets to take the new Jedi, Path of the Jedi.
Fuck yeah, right? Instead of
class.
dope monk bullshit, it's gonna be dope Jedi bullshit, man. It's gonna happen.
I mean, honestly, like I played around with this. You don't really need that many like spells or spell like effects to get a low level Jedi running around. It's the fucking lightsaber that's such a headache.
Yeah.
No one's real excited to give low level characters a weapon attack with radiant damage for some reason.
Couldn't imagine.
Lame.
It is, but we can fix that. We have the power.
If anyone can do it, you can.
Considering the rolls I've made, I believe that within an hour of Naruto landing in a sci-fi setting, she will re-engineer some of their technology for us. I got the sonic screwdriver. It's going to make it real easy.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, yes, Naruto will allow herself to be coaxed away from all of the delicious books to instead have slightly less delicious food.
Nourishing. Well, whenever you guys are ready, Giza is more than happy to show you out, and by the time you guys decide to leave, it will be more or less midnight, so pretty dark. All the shops are pretty much closed up for the night, but there is a particular inn you can go to. But we can get to that part whenever you're ready. If there's anything else you want to do while in this library, please feel free to do so.
I think the last thing Naruto wants to do before we head away from the library is she wants to gift Giza the strange book about the boar that she found.
Tuskgutter. Now this is interesting. Have you read through it?
Oh, yes, it's not an especially remarkable story. There's a large boar that winds up swallowing a magical artifact and starts causing trouble until some heroes come and take care of the problem. I mostly found it interesting in one, it was found in the possession of these followers of the Whisperer. And two, it references lands and names and dates and such that I am unfamiliar with.
I mean, it could be a work of fiction.
It could be, but then we started hearing about different worlds and these people's desires to cross them. And we know that places like the Feywild, what should be fiction transforms into reality there. It's entirely possible that the dreams of one world are the reality of another, and in some ways vice versa. So perhaps fiction, perhaps real, perhaps another world glimpsed through a lens thought to be fiction. That's all very beside the point. I thought it was an interesting book that I had never seen anywhere else before, so if it's rare and unique, then it deserves to be in your collection. And also, I wanted a gift to make up for the fact that I haven't written to you in a good while, despite having lots of questions that I thought you would be an expert to answer. Been very busy.
She smiles and she says, "Thank you for the book, and no apology needed. Life gets in the way, I know that all too well."
It's... Oh, how are your own studies going? I know that you've been sort of learning magic on the side from your duties as librarian. Is it going well?
There's something new every day. It's a long process, and it requires a lot of attention and study, but I'm finding the process quite enjoyable. It's going well. Thank you for asking.
Good. Well, we need to refresh ourselves. I suspect we'll be taking a trip into the sewers tomorrow.
She kind of makes a face like, ugh. sewers.
Yes.
Ugh.
It seems to be something that happens a lot while adventuring, is I keep finding myself having to go underground to mines or caves or basements of weird cult buildings.
Well, I suppose somebody has to do it, and I'm glad that somebody is not me anymore.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Giza. If we find more questions for research, we'll be sure to come back to you.
You're always welcome.
All right. Naruto kind of rejoins the group. Well, the Siren Song has served us fairly well for lodging thus far, and we can maybe lean on Ren for an employee discount as well.
I'm still not sure how I feel about all this.
Would you rather we took our reprieve away from the Siren Song?
No, they are perfectly fine. I am just coming to terms with not having my memory intact. It is disconcerting to have people know you, but to not know them.
Well, Ren, this will be a great opportunity for you to get to know him again.
Perhaps.
If nothing else, it seems like their recollection of you is that personality-wise, you're more or less unchanged from how they knew you. They all seemed fond of you. So I think that speaks to an inherent goodness of your character, regardless of anything else. That's something to take some pride in.
Ren chuckles a bit at that. Yes, I suppose that much is true. I am quite distinct and difficult to forget.
And maybe if we found the means to get you back in contact with your god, they might be able to give you back what you lost in the transition.
Perhaps. Regardless, please do not let my discomfort stop us from utilizing the Siren Song.
Okay. Okay. Shall we take a meal before we plan our foray into the deep, dark, stench-filled sewers tomorrow?
Seems reasonable.
I have a question. So, okay, so I know the sewers are definitely where Temerity had her workshop set up, and probably a really good place to check out. What about that strange ship that we heard about from the Siren Song?
Indeed, the ghost ship.
Right, I mean, maybe it's nothing, and it's just a strange ship that just got docked here, and they've just been taking a really long time to do stuff, but every other time that we've come across something weird or out of place, it's always been, oh, look, someone's doing void magic. There's a bad guy hiding in a trash can, and that trash can wasn't there last week, but no one really questioned it because it's just a trash can. And should we investigate that before we go to Temerities? Like, what if they are there, and or should
Jade
we go
does
to
make a
Temerities
reasonable
first
point.
and then?
I think the ship is worth looking at first, not so much because I think it's likely to be very important based on what we know, but more to the fact that it's a ship and it's there and we know roughly how to get there and how long it will take probably to inspect it. Meanwhile, the sewers are an entire sewer system. So yes, let's take care of the ship first because that could be quickly accomplished as opposed to the potential days that we are about to spend trying to find one person's laboratory in the midst of all of that. Because it does not seem like everyone knows that she had a laboratory, no one knows where it was. Exactly.
I guess she wouldn't
That
be a
sounds
very
like it
good
is well hidden.
hidden laboratory if everyone knew where it was.
Alatar said he could lead us there.
Oh,
Oh, right. He's never okay. So I'm sorry. I keep forgetting that Alatar. You have him mostly because he's. I mean this in the nicest way possible, but he hasn't really, despite being Temerity's like spellbook soul, he hasn't really known very much about what happened to her up until this point. So I keep forgetting that he's a resource. But that's good.
I mean,
That's very good.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure he can talk out loud too, but he refuses. So
Is he shy?
I think he's just stubborn.
Oh. Can he hear us?
Yes.
Okay, Alatar, it's okay if you are shy or stubborn. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. But we would like to get to know you.
There's a glowing from the pages of Alatar. Or if you were to open up Alatar's book, written on the page in black ink, you just see the words simply, "I'm not shy."
Does Aura tell us that?
Yeah, I'll open the book and hand it over to Jade.
Oh, hi, Alatar. I'll just pet the pages a little bit. It's good to talk to you again. It's good that you're not shy. Sometimes I'm shy. She'll just talk to Alatar on the walk back to wherever it is we're going.
as you're walking and just kind of yammering away at Alatar, there's a word that appears in the bottom right-hand corner, very small print, help.
oh. Ren has got me thinking to himself, this is a well-deserved fate for someone who is not being as helpful as they could be.
Maybe you can stay with me tonight, and you can hang out with David. And David, he's not a book, but he's a skull, and he talks too. But he can be shy sometimes, but not all the time. And Mora's there, and all of you can get together and have a great time talking to each other.
Please no.
Oh, it's okay, because Aura's there too. Oh, you are a little shy. It's okay. I won't make you. Did Alatar learn his lesson? No.
Maybe a little bit. So your business concluded at the School of Magic. Where to?
Siren song for food and sleep and discussing what we learned today.
Sounds like the best choice.
That seems reasonable.
Sure.
Right.
All right. You head back to the Siren Song. It's a Tuesday night, so not particularly busy. But there are the usuals that hang around the bar and hang around the tavern area. As you make your way back in, Nessa comes back around from the bar, and she kind of greets you all with a smile, and she says, "Oh, welcome back. You've returned so soon."
Hello.
Hi, Ren. So what happened?
We have found much information that we must consider.
Great. Any memories come back to you?
No, not really.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But thank you for caring for Dave. He is a great comfort and is quite amusing.
Oh, yes, we certainly wouldn't have let anything bad happen to Dave. Can I get you anything while you were here?
Yes, perhaps some dinner and a room. And hey, ADD, Suzanne just realized, did we Dave with us to that meeting with the Archmage? I did. Oh
Probably.
my gosh, did he recognize his fucking missing plant? Damn plant that I stole!
I like to think that he might have for a second, and then he saw fucking Jeffrey, and that just blocked out everything else from his peripheral
Jeffrey.
awareness.
Good job, Jeffrey.
And now, if he were to bring it up, it'd be super awkward. So you got off scot-free.
It'd be very awkward.
Well, I just rolled a
Like
2,
that.
so no, he did not recognize Dave.
Good, that's my plan.
Apparently, enchanted plants that play music are a thing.
Sure.
Fucking Calliope music.
There was just a fucking fad in Moonhaven where suddenly everyone wanted their own like singing plant. And now that a few years have passed, they're all like super tacky. It's the equivalent of having that singing bass on your wall.
It's basically a pet rock.
It's probably more one of those
Sounds
things
good,
like,
though.
we have it and we replace it every couple months when this one dies because someone forgot to take care of it because it's not actually magic. We just don't tell them about it, so no one's really concerned.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Okay, sorry. I just realized that and had to get that out.
No, that's great. That's great. So Nessa looks at you, Red, and she says, "Yes, please, sit down. I'll bring you what's on the menu tonight. I hope you like lamb chops and potatoes."
Thank you so much.
Of course. Anything to drink? Oh, you probably need a place to stay
Kombucha.
tonight, don't you?
Yes.
We'll have one of the rooms made up for you right away.
That would be very nice. Do you have kombucha?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. We too.
Excellent.
Oh, I'll bring it right
Nat
in.
20 for the fucking kombucha? Really, Ren? Yeah, Nat 20 for your drink choices. Damn it.
The important things. Come on.
Obviously.
Red knows what he likes.
Oh my gosh. This character.
So you have the option to kind of circle around one of the company tables in the tavern area, or you can simply go to one of the private rooms. Seems like there's only 2 rooms that are available tonight, so they'll start, making some beds up for you all.
Then we'll turn to the others. Do we wish to eat here, or should we go to a secluded room so others do not overhear our conversations?
Probably that second one.
That would be smart, since others are so nervous about our conversations.
Are others nervous about our conversations, or are we nervous about other people listening to our conversations?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, so, yeah, we'll go to a nice place and just sit together. Okay, don't sit on my needles, man. Yeah, I think Jade's all for the option of going up to a room with everyone else to just hang out and have dinner.
Yeah.
And talk.
Yeah, Yuki agrees.
Good. Just curious, what is the entertainment on for tonight in the Siren Song?
The entertainment tonight is another Eladrin who is doing a seductive belly dance.
Okay, yeah, we're going upstairs.
Question.
How do my hips move like that?
Is the purple boa still on the fucking stage?
Always.
It's not a real boa, it's just an illusion of a boa.
Someone's gotta pick that up eventually.
They will, and then they'll have to go get tested.
For everything.
So you were shown to your rooms that are made up for you. Comfortable and high class as always here at the Siren Song. Food and drink are brought in to you by various different sirens, and Nessa makes herself available to you behind the bar should you have any need of her services or assistance.
Right, so
think-
today was productive. Go ahead, Yuki.
I was going to say, I think Yuki will join Ren in having a kombucha.
Whatever you guys want, you'll find it is provided for you. Nessa is more than happy to let it go on the house.
Oh.
Jade's gonna order
Not very much.
Jade's gonna order more of those strawberry drinks that she got the last time.
Strawberry drinks and kombucha aplenty.
It's not alcoholic if we are not getting drunk.
All right.
Yeah, we found a lot of stuff today.
It was a very eventful day.
Definitely eventful. What does everybody think about all the information?
I think, on the whole, we know about as much as we can without sort of raiding the knowledge of our foes here as well. We know who they serve. We know what they're after. It's the Clavis so that they can reduce the binding and allow basically a repeat of the chaos that happened just before the shadow binding. The question is also, if this Kurgaleth is seeking these other artifacts, what are they and where are they hidden? If Rufus was very intrigued by traveling to different realms, it's possible that it's not just our world that holds a piece to the puzzle of what their plot is to enact.
Do you think that? I mean, do you think that there's a way to get to the other worlds?
I do. I just don't know if that means is available to mere mortals like us without some manner of tapping into the void to cross that darkness between dimensions.
Well, Lorelai said that she could get there.
Yes.
Maybe she can open a door for us. And then we don't have to worry about getting all voided.
Maybe. But if we don't know which of the potentially infinite destinations we need to go to,
Oh, well, after we find that part out, then.
that's what I'm hoping we might find in Temerity's lab. Some sort of clue to where she might have disappeared to.
Professor and I were talking about that earlier when we were looking over the books that we had. Because Giza had said that Temerity was looking to get her clone spells to work in the other worlds too. Maybe that's the reason she disappeared in the middle of the ocean. Maybe her and Rufus found a way to cross that border.
In which case, if either they had some sort of ritual they could do it and decided to perform it while on a boat in transit, presumably because they were heading to Wayburn Port for something, which I don't find terribly likely. I think it's more likely that they probably disembarked from the boat during that transit because somewhere sunken under the sea was that means that they were going to use.
Oh, like they were using the boat as a cover. They weren't actually going to Wayburn Pool. They were going to the ocean.
Yeah, if they just had a ritual that they could perform, they could have made their disappearance at any moment. There had to be a reason why they were where they were.
Right.
So that's what I want to be on the lookout for. And once we have those clues, back to the library with Giza to see if, with that in hand, we can sort of narrow down what our own means of following after could be. But the primary thing we need though is the clavis, and we know that's over in Avaril.
Right.
We
Why
definitely don't need them breaking that and causing havoc on our world.
Well, okay, I have a question. Do we go after the clavis? Because the person who has it seems like she's been keeping it out of their reach for a long time. Or do we go after like the people who are after it at that point? Like, if she's keeping it safe, do we go find her and potentially bring more attention to where she's at? Or do we just follow their trail and kind of lead them away and make sure they can't find her?
Yeah. We'd more or less be doing both at the same time. If we know they're after her and we find we become certain in our knowledge of where she is and we can head them off, then that's the tack we need to take.
That makes sense.
Yes, we're heading in that general direction to deal with the cultists, but we have reason to believe the cultists are fairly up to date on where to look for her. So
I guess that brings another question up: is how they're tracking her, or how they even know about it. But in all the research I made, there was that man who got away.
very likely, if he was a member of the Prismatic Mages and was a cohort to Master Aaronaris and to Leon before sort of turning, chances are good he knows enough of their usual methods that it would probably give him a fairly good head start on even just mundane surveillance, not even discounting powerful magics he has in his employ, including void-specific magics that the usual powerful wizard might not have countermeasures for.
Right. So potentially they're out there, with the void magic, tracking her down, and we have to play catch up with them, or keep away with them.
Yep. General heroics. Same thing we've been up to, really, except
Yeah.
this time we're not stumbling upon them mid-scheme.
Yeah. Did anyone else come across anything interesting in the research today? I think we got a lot of history.
Just more information about the schism that happened between those ancient mages.
It seems like they were pretty well set up to be, I guess, protectors of some sort.
Or some of them until they were not.
It seems like they didn't mean to. It seems like they were researching more ways to use their magic and kind of stumbled into it, and then couldn't untangle themselves from it. Maybe by that time they didn't want to, but
It does make it concerning.
it's more concerning, I think, is that were they always after that? Or was that what they always really wanted, so that's what the void offered them? Or did the void corrupt the things that they wanted and
Valid
twist them into
questions.
different things?
Unfortunately, I believe only more experience will give us the answers. I hope they do not come at too high of a cost.
Me too. And I think we really need to go to Edmay, regardless of where we have to go after, because Professor's got that scroll,
Yes, definitely we do need to make a trip to Edme.
Yeah.
Is anybody else like mildly concerned about how thoroughly the Magus Prismatica was able to simply erase themselves from history for the most part?
I mean, not really. When things happen a really, really long time ago, stuff can get lost to history. Not a lot of things have a really long memory. And if you don't write down what you did and don't pass on the story, eventually it's going to get lost. I mean, look at my papa. He's still around, but he's not really heard about that much.
Yeah,
And especially his original, what he used to be, is nowhere.
that's true. But I mean, people still know the name Morlock. And
I know the name, but if you were a part of a group that was supposed to be secret in the first place,
true. But I mean, the
and
shadow bending doesn't, at least from what we've learned, doesn't seem like it was a small thing, like a giant wriggly thing emerging from the sky and contorting the very earth beneath its shadow into a hellish landscape. That sounds like the type of thing that gets passed down.
but we also don't know where that happened. I mean, for all we know, it happened in a desert somewhere. That the only people around were the people fighting.
Actually, if the place where this occurred was sort of the nexus of ley lines for all of Pelennor, looking over the maps we have, it seems to be somewhere north and east of Iceland and Averil. Perhaps in the place where it actually occurred, that would be where they might have some more proper documentation referencing those events.
Oh, maybe. Don't forget though that ley lines change. What's here now might not have been the same way the ley lines were thousands of years ago.
Maybe. But if there's an artifact like the clavis tied to an incredibly potent seal, that, I think, is very unlikely to change.
Well, but the Clavis is moving around with the lighter. We know she's over in Averil, probably for right now, anyway.
No, but if I had a key to a powerful seal, I would not want to keep it 5 feet away from the lock. For that key to open.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yuki will kind of start, like, she'll just kind of like, almost like she was in thought, and she'll kind of shake herself and say, wait, ley lines. Could there be a joining of ley lines somewhere in the ocean that Temerity could have used to get to another universe?
Maybe.
It might not be an artifact under the water, it might be a ley line.
So you have those maps.
Looking at the map, though, the only point where the ley line really crosses the sea is north of Summercall, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were taking a ship from Moonhaven to Weyburn Port, correct?
Oh yeah, they were going around. They were going up, so the most convergence of ley lines from here would have been here in Moonhaven.
This would have been good information to have when we were on Leviathan.
But also, now I'm starting to going into theoretical magics of interdimensional travel, which is fraught, but I see two options. One, either it's very important for you to have access to a ley line, or it's very important for you to be away from a ley line, because if you are trying to remove yourself from this world, a ley line might act as an anchor to keep you there, as opposed to allowing you to slip away.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. A ley line is where all the crisscross and magic is. Another theory is that you're trying to find the ley line that aligns to the world you're going to. Maybe they found something like that. And the ley line that's closest to whatever world they wanted is somewhere in the ocean on our end.
True, but if there was ley line connections between the worlds, I would think that it would be much easier for crossover to occur. You would get sort of a bleed effect where bits of their world would wash up on ours and vice versa. It seems to me like the travel between worlds is very much meant to be as sequestered as possible.
But unless they found something that would let them do it. So maybe they needed two things. They needed like an artifact and the place. Like the key that opened the door. Maybe they had to find a very specific key in a very specific place to open a door.
Oh, well, here's something. If you had a piece of material from another world, let's not get into the chicken and the egg problem of how did it get here in the first place, but let's assume I had, a rock that came from the planet where everyone and everything is made out of rocks, rock world. Perhaps if I had that as a focusing aspect and was in the midst of a ley line, that could be used to kind of catapult yourself towards its. You could sort of attune the ley line to wherever the rock's home point of origin was, and then transfer. But again, I need more information on whether ley lines exist as a connection to sort of a greater weave that has all of the worlds interconnected, or if ley lines are meant to sort of help contain and regulate the local world in its particular system. Because I'm still working off the assumption that void magic is causing a disjunction in the natural world. Naruko is like looking around kind of slightly wild-eyed. It was like, I haven't eaten any of my dinner because I'm getting too wrapped up in this, so I'm going to take a few bites now.
That would be good.
We're also really going off of the idea that okay, so we know that she got onto the ship here, and she never made it to Weyburn Port. We're assuming nothing happened before they sailed away, and also that they didn't just. What if she found out she was being followed? What if she just teleported somewhere else off of the ship and they just ran away and got somewhere, or teleported, or had some sort of void thing happen on the ship they were on, and they just left.
Entirely possible.
I don't know, it doesn't seem like that's probably what's happening.
Probably not. And if it is, we really don't have any means of following up on that. So, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, maybe we should keep an open mind that maybe they didn't do anything in the ocean. Maybe something happened whilst they were on the ship, or before they even left. I mean, if
we should shift our focus to things that we can control, or at least are aware of.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Ren.
Yep. I'm keeping my theoretical mind open about the interworld travel, because that may actually be something we'll have to tackle if that's where they went. So I'll keep my notes on that. So I've got a head start on figuring out if that is something we have to deal with. But in the meanwhile, we're investigating the ship tomorrow just to see if our luck holds and more void stuff's going on there. And then raid Temerity's lab, find whatever clues we can, and then do we want to head to Edme to talk to the Thorns in residence there before we head to Averil?
I think we should, because Professor has that scroll, and it keeps coming up, and it seems like it's important. So we probably should at least check into what it is. And it seems like the only people who can even read it are the people that are there in Edme.
Very good.
So, we go tomorrow, and we get up in the morning, and then we have breakfast, and then we go to visit the ship and see what happens there, and hopefully nothing bad. No bad things happen, and it's just a regular ship full of regular things. And then we go to the sewers. Yay! To the sewers.
Yay.
Are we? Do we know if there's any? I didn't think to ask him, but it is a sewer. If Temerity figured that it was a good place to hide what she was doing, are there other people in the sewers that we need to worry about?
Probably.
Well, I don't really like how casually you said that.
It's kind of common knowledge that in a city with a great deal of magical ingenuity, that there tends to be a lot of waste products. Failed experiments, spoiled magical reagents, etc. That kind of gets into the system and tends to react with each other, and then you get the usual nuisances like oozes and
Oh, that's not very environmentally friendly.
rats of unusual size,
Oh, I didn't think those existed.
turtles who can use martial arts. Actually, I think that one was just a prank that they told the freshmen. I don't think that's real. But yes, generally speaking, it is known that the sewers under Moonhaven are generally not the safest, which, most people don't have business going down there anyway, so not too much of a problem. But yeah, we should expect to run into obstacles, especially if Temerity put a secret little base down there. Chances are good that she intentionally put it in such a way that you would have to get through such creatures to reach her, because that's how you keep yourself guarded.
Put it somewhere that even Aaron Aris couldn't find. And he's super, super old.
I don't know if she was particularly worried about her fellow mages as much as she was just casual ne'er-do-wells, thieves looking for routes to move through to get into places for heists and other, incidental discovery.
Oh no, yeah, probably not her fellow mages because they're your friends, and you don't have to worry about your friends stealing your stuff. But I just mean he said that they tried looking and they didn't find him, but find a place. So if he couldn't find it, that means that we're just going to have a long day.
Well, it's also possible that with things like wards and stone shape and other such things, that with us having Alatar, if there are any secret puzzles or passphrases, we can just coast through that, and that might have been where they got held up. Secret switches that they just didn't find because they're so cleverly hidden.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We have Alatar. How can I forget? We've been talking all
Jade
night.
looks down, still has him open that she's been talking to. He's still scribbling for help in the margins.
Yeah, for sure. She's been talking this whole time, still holding Alatar because she hasn't given him back. Alatar, do you want to tell us all the trick phrases and stuff? Or should that just be for Aura? Do you want to talk to Aura?
You're muted.
and I want to hear
You're muted. Fuck.
Alatar writes in his book, it says, "No phrases, just monsters."
Oh, helpful.
I am
Okay.
unsure if that is the response. This seems less than helpful.
Well, now we know there's monsters. Thank you, Alatar.
The words again appear on the page. Temerity was able to make herself invisible.
Is that how she got past the monsters?
Yes.
I couldn't do that.
No, me neither.
Well,
I can
I
to exactly one person.
well, maybe maybe we should make Ren invisible.
Wait, what?
Well,
Why?
because you're the biggest.
It is because of my wreck, isn't it?
It is really noticeable because of how pretty it is.
Ren just sighs dejectedly. He is not liking this plan.
So, anything else this evening before you turn in for your long rest?
I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good.
We're good.
Good.
All right.
Um,
Oh, go ahead.
Narco. I ruined it.
Nope, you didn't. No.
Narco did want to have a quick moment with Jade before turning in for the night.
Yeah.
As everyone's getting ready for bed, and Narco has kind of looked over her collection of notes that she took from the day. She wants to sidle up next to Jade and say, Jade, I wanted to say sorry.
Oh, for what?
Well, so this is a new thing for me, because we were at the Siren Song in Rockdale, and we agreed we would try out doing like special friend stuff together, and it's been nice. But because we keep getting swept up in adventures, I haven't been able to do things like just take you around on a date, and
Oh,
I thought Moondale would be great because hey, I actually have been here. I know some stuff, and now we're here and we're spending library is great. There's cool books, but we spent them all on research time about spooky death cults, and we're going to a sewer, and I don't know if I'm doing good at making space and time, because it feels like if we spend time not doing stuff, then the world might end.
Jade is going to reach out and just take Narco's hand, and she's going to say, "I like spending time with you. It doesn't matter to me what we're doing, and it's always nice just to be with you. And the world is pretty important, so we kind of need to make sure that we take care of it. And there'll be time. I'm not going anywhere. So, I mean, we might not even find Temerity's hidden place, and we don't know what the ship is going to do. If you want to go, we can have a day going around the city before we leave, if you'd like to do that. But I'm just happy that we're here."
Okay, that's good. Again, first time doing this, and I know I'm kind of used to just being myself, which means I get up in my head and on projects, but I want to having people around has been nice.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll have the ability to just take a day, but I still want to keep my promise. before we leave here, we are getting cupcakes. They are really good. They got this little. You'll like it. It's this big place. It's actually like. Apparently they like got started because they got like an investment from a dragon or something. So they like have this really
Dragon?
big, really nice shop.
Wow, that's amazing. You don't have to apologize for anything, Narco. There'll be time. And for right now, the time might be that we have to have cupcakes and go to Admay to get a creepy scroll read by a man who was once a mummy and is now a baker. And that might be all the time we'll have right now. That's not all the time we'll have forever. And I've been enjoying being around all of you too, and just these moments together have been great. And I like when you get caught up in your head about things. You're very insightful, and you make a very cute face when you're thinking.
Narco kind of gives Jade a look. He's like, "Is my face normally not cute?"
Oh, your face is normally adorable and very pretty.
Thank you, Dave. If this isn't working, let me know. Again, like this was the first time, and figuring things out, and maybe it's I'm overthinking this. I'm probably overthinking this. This is.
Jade leans in and kisses her.
Naruto like finishes and like, nope, definitely, yep, very tingly. Nope, still working. Okay.
I didn't mean to make you stop talking. But that is thought it would be the best way to stop you thinking for a minute, and I kind of wanted to, and then so I'm sorry. I should have asked first, but
Naruto then kisses her back to shut her up.
there's a bunch of back and forth. This happens for a while.
Eventually, bedtime will happen, but yes, this will happen.
This happens for a little bit.
Right.
Fantastic. Well, then you guys are all able to get your long rest. Jade, I had a question for you that I sent you in Discord. If you could check real quick.
Oh, yeah. Let me go check.
Please tell me the professor is getting up on the roof.
Hey, Red Day Steady, you stop that. I want to sleep. Yeah, my watch just told me to sleep now. Thanks, guys.
Okay, sorry about that. So you guys
Yeah,
get your long
some
rest.
pouring was happening right now. Hang on a second.
You guys get your long rest. Spells, abilities, all that good stuff come back. Very restful, very peaceful. The siren song, they built these rooms so that they are more or less soundproof. So you can't hear what's going on outside of it, and people outside of it can't really hear what's going on inside of it. In the morning, you are greeted with breakfast and all the accoutrements that come along with it. Jade, we've already discussed what you find in the morning.
Yeah. Well.
So breakfast is served. The sun is rising, and the morning is yours.
Did we get to hear what the professor was up to over the night, or is that secret?
Professor. I'll leave
Yeah,
it to you.
Professor.
I can just put it in the chat later.
No, tell us.
Uh,
You don't have to
No.
give in to the peer pressure, but I do want to.
no, it's not a secret. I just don't want to slow things down.
You're not slowing anything down, bitch.
Bro, have you been in this game?
Did you just see? That we just spent 15 minutes like anxiety kissing? Like you can do a thing. You're fine.
All right. So through the night, Professor will actually like takes off his jacket and his boots, and he'll actually like kneel at the end of his bed and put his prayer hands up, and he just kind of sighs, and he's like, "I have not been on this side of this before." Kelemvor, Lord of the Dead, Judge of the Damned, Keeper of Divine Justice. We would very much like an audience. Not like the kind of breezy wind, show us a sign sort of thing, but we really have something to talk to you about. Call me? Hey man, is that what you say? I don't know. I don't normally hear these. I've seen them done for you. I'm usually with you when it happened. Hopefully that's it. That's it.
I love that.
So I don't suppose you have
Hell yeah.
anything like divine intervention or any kind of spells that
I
reach out to your
only
guys?
have one level of cleric, so I don't have any of that. So it's pretty much he's throwing it out there to the wind and hoping that Kelemvor, the deity, was like, "Oh shit, it's you. Okay, yeah, let's talk," sort of thing. But
Alright.
entirely throwing it out to the wind.
I think my favorite method of deities communicating with their clerics is, since clerics prepare their spells every morning, is when I've had this before, clerics pray their god, the next morning I'll tell them, like, your god granted you different spells in response to your prayer. And they just get to read between the lines to figure out what message they're being sent.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens in this case for now. Something may come in later. But as I said, morning comes. You are all free to awaken and come together. At your
Very
initiative.
quick question. Do I feel differently?
You
Do I just know?
know you have access to something that you have not had access to previously.
Yeah, so through the night, as Jade spends her evening now braiding Naruko's hair while she sleeps, or just being there in the room, not in a creepy way, definitely though trying to talk to Arby still, who does not respond because he has no mouth.
Oh, he can respond. He just doesn't talk.
Yeah, he doesn't talk, but he'll definitely give like a thumbs up or not a response at all, and then also probably wish that he was Alatar right now and not in this room. She's going to, in the wee hours of the morning, start to get feeling uncomfortable, and then as the sun is coming up, she's gonna just gently shake Naruko to wake her up.
What? I didn't oversleep. I set an alarm. It's in the clock. I promise.
No, no, you're fine. You're not oversleeping. I think I might have a bit of a. I think something's happened.
Eyes awake.
It's okay. It's okay. There's nothing like.
Pull the pistol out from under her pillow. It's like,
No. It's just us in here. It's just us. It's us and Arby and David and I think it's just us in here. So I was talking with Professor at the library. I'm sorry. Are you awake enough right now? You can put the gun down.
yeah, she puts the gun down.
Okay. So I was talking with Professor at the library, and we had a real big discussion about fire and what it means to. It doesn't matter. Anyway, he gave me his. He took out his spell that that he got in his spellbook, and he gave it to me, and he said it was to make sure that it was a sign of trust that he's going to give this to me, and I can give it back to him when I feel like he is ready to have it, or when I trust him to use it. And I didn't think anything of it. It's just a piece of paper, and I put it in my journal in a safe spot in a little pocket that I made to keep flowers and stuff in. And but after midnight, I started feeling weird. And I think I can actually. I feel like I have magic that I didn't have before, and that's the only time that that's ever happened to me. And the only thing that's different is that I took his magic spell page.
Naruto immediately casts Identify on Jade.
Oh no!
Jade, what does Narco get on Identify?
What does Identify do?
I will.
I've.
Oh, there you go. Granted, sometimes I have stretched the exact worded limits of the spell in order to provide extra information for plot reasons.
Okay, 1 second. Let me verify something. Okay, so you cast Identify, and Jade lights up in your vision. Because Jade is entirely magic. There are. I bet for the purpose of this, you now have magic vision when you look at Jade, and you see things that you could not see before, though you wouldn't have noticed probably anyway. There are runes and inscriptions and spell forms just over every inch of her skin that you can see. And under her clothing, you see that faint glow of magic that's coming up from it, and know that there's more. And beyond that, you can sense the barest touch of the void. It's not the same as the professor's is right now, but you can tell that Jade now has access to something, to the void, when she didn't yesterday.
Okay. First off, I would like to say that how very appropriate it is for Naruto, shut-in artificer, to have picked the one romantic interest that is literally basically just a magic golem.
Yep.
Yep. Total Pygmalion going on here. Anyway, she's going to say, all right. She like puts away her little magic monocle that she uses for this, and she says, yes, there is a hint of void there, but it's not to the same level as the professor's. I think you need to give him back that page, and you need to definitely not cast whatever spell or other magic you have been gained, or else you are going to start suffering the same affliction to him where your connection to the weed is going to get tampered with. And considering that you are basically held together by spell forms, I would really not want to take that chance.
I don't want to take that chance either, but if this is doing something just from me having it, is it a wise idea to give it back to the professor who has it even worse than I do? I won't use it, but he might.
My take with the professor is that his connection to the void, the raw actual access to it, began accidentally. It wasn't his intention to get into this when he first made that familiar spell that brought Jeffrey around.
That's true.
So if there must be someone who can take hold of these void-touched items so that we at least have ownership of them, it might as well be him. It can't. This page alone can't do any worse to him than it already has. It's already given him that spell. He's already made use of it. And his level of corruption is where it is now because of that. I want to know is it if you hand that back, if you make the firm decision to reject it at this early stage, if that can bring that connection closed.
I suppose that's a good idea, but maybe we should talk to everybody else and let them know what's happening, in case someone else touches it.
Or any other similar materials that we run across in the future as we take these cultists down.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go get breakfast. I think we really need to especially talk to Yuki.
I think you're okay, Jade. I think I can't say for sure whether or not ridding yourself of the page and sometime will remove this entirely, but I think there's a good chance. And we both know that so long as you don't make any use of whatever it's trying to give you, can't find any further purchase.
I don't know that it's infecting me yet, but
No, I think the doorway has just been opened.
okay. Yeah, let's get everybody else together.
Narco just kind of takes a moment to sit at the side of her bed and just kind of let out a breath. Yeah. And then she grabs the thermos to take some coffee. And she just takes a swig. And she turns and looks at Jade. I was just talking with you about how I would like to have just a nice day here in Moonhaven, and things just keep cropping up. And that's not your fault. That is not a knock against you. If I'm upset at anyone, I'm upset at these people trying to bring the void into our world in such reckless haste.
Yeah. No, I understand. Well, good news though, it's the same day we were planning to do the creepy things, so at least it's not a brand new day.
I'll be honest with you, Jade. With the morning starting off this way, I am almost wondering if I could just jerry rig a cannon and blow a hole in the side of the ship and let it sink and call it a day. But that would be a little irresponsible of me. So let's get some breakfast.
Yeah, let's get some breakfast. I'm gonna go wake up the others. And it's super early, so Jay's gonna go and rouse everyone. And get them all to come down to dinner or breakfast.
It is so early.
Yeah, I know. Something happened, and we all kind of need to talk.
Oh, like something good, or like did you get another summons? Did you get the summons to like the Fey Court of Mischief or something crazy?
I didn't know that there was a Fey Court of Mischief. But no, I didn't get another letter. Did you get a letter?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll check with Yuki and Ren and see if they got letters, but I didn't get a letter.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Clearly, this is important. Let's go. I hope they're serving breakfast at this time. Let's go.
Yep.
Yuki will shuffle downstairs or out of the room, and she'll just kind of like be rubbing her eyes, blearily. Say, what happened? Something happened. What happened?
Yeah. Is everybody together?
Yeah, Ren trotted after them. Why are
Yeah.
we doing this? What's
Or is half
happening?
awake.
Sorry to wake everybody up super early. So a thing happened. Professor gave me this, and she's gonna hold up the folded piece of paper that has the spell on it. And I was keeping it safekeeping with me. Had a very nice discussion about everything, and we're very good friends. And I put it in my journal in the pocket that I keep with all the flowers, and it was fine. And I didn't do anything with it, and I didn't touch anything. I didn't cast any spells. But after midnight this morning, I know that I can use this now.
The
Yuki,
professor,
stop.
Really?
God,
professor jumps up and pulls his hand out. Give it back. Don't touch it. Otherwise, get rid of it.
She holds it very slightly away from him, even as she's like, she jumps up and kind of gets back as the professor like makes a lunge towards her, more of out of reaction of him just like moving quickly rather than anything else. Oh, sorry. Noriko said to give it back to you, and I'm 100% okay with giving it back if that's what we all want to do. But I am a little bit concerned that if I give it back, I'm concerned if I give it back, it's going to be worse for you, Professor. And I want to make sure that we do what's best for everybody, because right now it's not doing anything bad to me yet. So, group decision. What we need to do. I don't want Professor risking himself unnecessarily.
I think it should stay with the professor. It's not an unnecessary risk. We're going to probably find more of these void materials, and we can't leave them out and about. If anyone is to be sort of our designator custodian of these dangerous items, it should be the professor, who's already gotten himself a foot in the door there, intentionally or otherwise.
That is a good point. I am going to say, right now he's just got a foot in the door. What happens if we start giving him more and more things, and it starts leaking into him way more? If we spread it out amongst ourselves and we just don't use it, it might protect everyone from being too tempted. But
Okay. Even if you don't use it, you've been marked. You saw it. Rokamira, just by looking at me, knew. Don't make yourself a target. If anyone needs to be a target, I already have this experience at managing this. I don't think everything regarding the void is a risk, but it was. If I had any idea it would impact you in the slightest, Jade, I'd never have given it to you. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. You don't have to be sorry. You didn't do anything on purpose. Sometimes things just happen, and we didn't know. And it's just a piece of paper. So now we know, and we're all going to be targets if we keep going after him. We're all going to be targets. I'm okay with that if it means that we're all safer because not a single one of us has to bear the burden alone. Yuki, what do you think?
Yuki's gonna look from Jade to the professor to Naruto. She's going to say, I agree with Naruto, and I agree with the professor that it should stay with him. I see your point. I understand why you think that if we spread it out, we will not be as tempted. But if we all have that, she's gonna look at the professor like, sorry, man. Say, have that bit of corruption in us. Something could happen and we could all be lost. If the professor is the one bearing this burden, if we are all clear and clean and do not have this corruption, we can help him. We can protect him. We can pull him back from the brink. But if it's more than one of us, we may all be lost. And you're right. We might not know how to do that now. But that does not mean it won't be something that we won't find out. We are learning new things every single day about the void and void magic and the mages and all of these all of these things. We may be able to figure out how, but to have us all be possibly at risk, I like our odds better with more of us not being affected by it.
But if we give the professor more and more things, that's just more and more corruption that he's got to deal with all at once. I'll give this one back, but if we find another one, Ren, what do you think?
I find myself agreeing with Yuki, adding on to the idea that the Void's goal is to spread its corruption. We should not be doing anything to help with its goal. I do not like the idea of putting the professor at potentially additional risk. I believe it would be better for us to be able to help him if we are not also being targeted by the Void directly.
Aura?
You all have good points. But I can't help that the more I hear about the void, the more curious I am. And part of me thinks that the more we know about it, the more we can protect each other.
It seems like everybody wants me to give this back. Okay. But she's going to hold it out to the professor, but still kind of out of his reach. If you feel like it's too much, you give it back, okay?
The professor just looks at her with eyes that are a mixture of concern and terror at the same time, but his face is like placid serenity. And he doesn't make any further movements towards her. He just keeps his hand held out.
You have to promise. You have to promise if I give this back to you and it's too much, you give it back.
Give to me, and I'm going to destroy it.
That's all fine. What I say still counts. We might be finding more things, and if we can't destroy them, and it gets to be too much, Then you give one to me, okay?
All right,
Promise?
I promise.
Okay. And she's gonna hand the page over.
The page, he takes the page and kind of holds it, unfolds it with a thumb to make sure that it is indeed the spell page from his journal.
Yep. She's not good at lying.
It immediately goes up in blue flames.
No, it doesn't.
Oh!
Oh, shit.
Oh shit!
Yeah, no.
Jeffrey starts squealing. This is the first time you've actually heard, any of you have heard him make an audible sound. I need everybody to give me a charisma saving throw.
Oh, damn.
Oh, Jeffrey, what are you doing? Ow! Oh, fuck. Okay. Charisma save. Is this
Inspiration!
Yeah, I'm
Is
an
this
inspiration too.
is this against being charmed? Oh,
This is not a charm effect.
fuck.
Damn it.
Oh no!
Shit, I think it got worse.
Oh no, that's an 11.
Mine
I'm using
did.
an
No,
inspiration.
that will
I'm using
better.
an inspiration. Oh, that's much better. Okay, 17. 22 for Jade.
Okay.
Don't forget about your amulets, guys.
Only works on attack rolls.
Motherfucker!
Yeah.
Never mind, then forget him.
So. Oh, let me hang on. Sorry. I need to check one thing real fast. Sorry, guys.
You're good.
I'll just.
You created a magical backlash.
I'll let you simmer on that for a second. While I
You've
look this up.
all been plane shifted. Good job. Literally bag of holding into a portable hole. Extra dimensional
Everybody's
inclusion.
dead. Roll new characters.
Oh man, I'm gonna be a barbarian this time. Being a smart person was so hard.
It's so hard.
You do it so well, though. You and Mars are great at the smart people thing.
Okay.
Right?
I know, seriously.
So, Professor Yuki, Ren, and Nariko. As Jeffrey lets out this squeal, you can feel kind of a pressure push against your chest. As the spell page, as Professor attempts to light it up in flame, the blue flame surrounds it, but the flames lick this page, and there is no charring, there is no scarring. The page is still in perfect, pristine condition. Jeffrey squeals. You feel this pressure against you. Each of you who I have called out, you are going to start taking a new counter for me. You are each going to be affected with 1 point of void corruption.
What?
Oh no, that brings me to 10.
Oh no, what does that mean?
I don't like
wait,
that.
Wait, real quick clarification point. Does Jade have a point of corruption from just having the spell? Or did she just feel that she could touch the void if she wanted to?
You feel like you could touch it. You have not cast this spell, so you do not have any corruption from that, and you were successful on your charisma save.
Okay. It works to be the daughter of a devil.
Is it too late to spend my second point of inspiration on that roll?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I want my physical dice now.
Same.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, let's roll
Yes.
in the game.
The answer is no, this is much more fun.
Fuck! Great! Hey, Ren, that's fine. That's fine.
It's just
How you
one,
feel
guys.
today, huh, buddy?
One. It's just one. Professor's been working with 9, apparently.
Yeah. It's fine. It's just gonna add to my charm. It's fine. What could go wrong? It's gonna be fine.
Reroll is a 17 for Narco.
Narco, you save. So you are not affected, Narco.
I felt that. Oh boy.
Does it seem like Jeffrey did it? Or was Jeffrey just screaming because something was happening? Can I make a check?
So anyone who is kind of checking in on Jeffrey, you can go ahead and make an insight check. At this point, the flame has kind of subsided. Jeffrey has stopped squealing and is kind of like squatting in place on the ground. He's like got his arms up over his head like he's protecting himself.
22 insight from Jade.
So Professor Wren and Jade and let's see, Professor Wren, Jade. Yeah, I think all of you got this. So all of you kind of like look over to Jeffrey as he finishes squealing, and he looks like he is scared, and it is kind of the reaction that you get when you are like physically hurt. Though, Professor, you innately know Jeffrey has not actually like taken any physical damage or anything like that.
The professor drops down next to Jeffrey and puts his hands on his shoulders. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I did not know that was going to happen. Are you okay?
Through his eyes, he kind of splits his fingers a little bit. I'm sorry, through his fingers, he splits a little bit. You can kind of see his eye just kind of like look around you, and his eyes wide. It looks a little panicked.
I will recall him into his Pokeball.
All right.
And he kind of gets up and backs away from the table, this like face full of panic and terror of what just happened.
Well, that did not work.
Is everyone okay? What? Is Jeffrey okay? What happened?
That
It didn't catch on fire.
Professor kind of like presses his right palm over his chest, kind of where he felt that pressure, knowing exactly what that was. And his eyes grow really stern as he looks around like, please tell me none of you felt that.
What
Yuki-
was it?
Yuki will put her hand on her chest right where the professor has his. She'll say,
Jade?
what was that?
Jade looks confused.
That.
Narco is definitely very worried because she felt it try to get into her. Professor, did we just grab something's attention for a moment there?
I think we've been marked.
Is void corruption.
Well,
I don't understand. We didn't do anything.
He kind of holds up Jeffrey's crystal. This is all tied together. I don't know how, I don't know why, and I don't know to what extent. But I guess my research has just shifted from understanding how to wield it safely to how to safely keep it and its tendrils away from anybody else. I'm so sorry this has happened to you. I'm sorry that I did this to you.
You didn't. No. Professor, you didn't do anything to anyone.
He folds up the slides it back into his jacket.
It was a piece of paper. We write spells all the time. People find spells all the time. This never happened before. There was no reason for anyone to think that anything could have come of that. You did not do anything. And
Perhaps we should shift our focus to the future.
what do you mean, Ren?
Ren places his own hand on his chest. Like, what now?
Do you have any offensive spells, Ren?
Funny.
Can you try one?
I am worried I will not like this outcome. But Ren will go and cast. It's nice and easy.
Want you to know Joe is giggling right now.
Of course he is.
Ren is going to aim for something in the room and use his thorn whip.
Gotta make an attack roll. Your thorn whip lashes out and strikes at like an unlit candle on the wall. You do not notice any detrimental effects or anything like that. The spell goes off exactly as you expect it does.
My abilities seem to be intact for the moment. Elaborate. What were you expecting?
Good. Well, I guess it stands to reason that even for me, the corruption didn't really impact my ability to cast spells until it built up a bit. Hopefully, with the low level that you have experienced, that it should be negligible and really not impact you at all. Hopefully.
My dear Professor, I feel as if you have kept some of this information from us.
I have not. I told you exactly how it's affected me.
To be fair to the Professor, he did tell us as soon as he started noticing it. He just didn't know what it was until that point in time.
And I had no idea that it was going to find its way into someone who wasn't interfacing with the void directly.
No.
Things happen.
With that, this seems like a good place to leave off for the night as we have hit 11 o'clock.
Look. Dude.
I will leave you in this moment of self-discovery and possibly a little bit of panic.
Thanks, Joe.
What did we learn today?
Hey,
I know
now.
I know what we learned. We learned that before we do magical experiments or magical bomb disposal, to set up a safe, secure area before you attempt it.
Right? Oh gosh, that's funny.
I approve of the professor for doing it in that moment because it was immediate and very dramatic.
Yep. Oh,
But
hell
also,
yeah.
we did not learn.
Hey,
Yep.
we thought it was just gonna be like, oh, because it exists, it's a problem. Let's get rid of the problem. And yep.
Now,
We
now you
also
see what
not for nothing. We learned from the library too that if you remove the source of the corruption stops.
Right, destroy
This
it.
apparently was the source of corruption, and well,
the problem is it's not the page. It's Jeffrey. Jeffrey's the source of the corruption. Because I fully expected that even if we burnt up the paper, Jeffrey could just generate a replacement.
we don't know that Jeffrey did it. We just know he's connected to it.
Yep.
No, nominations tonight. Is there anybody who doesn't have 2 inspirations at this point?
Me.
Me.
I mean,
Me?
I only got one
We-
now.
We all used a bunch.
I didn't.
Show
Do
off.
you have two?
Just accepted your fate, huh?
Yeah, I want to see it through.
Oh man, you're at 10 corruption points now.
Oh, damn. Damn,
Oh,
Jenna,
yes.
that is not encouraging.
Yeah,
You know what's
that was
fun?
an evil fucking laugh.
You know why?
Yes,
Mm.
dear.
Because I'm the one who helped Joe figure out what those levels did.
Yeah, okay, that's not making it better.
No, I'm much meaner than Joe is.
We know!
I had to tone it down.
It's okay, guys. The
You
void uses
reeled
a
it
base. the Void uses a base 7 number system, so it's only at like 14 points where it actually causes problems.
I don't think that's it, man.
He's gonna
Reel
wake
it
up
in.
with Mind Flayer.
Now, you see, that's what I
well,
would do to throw you off guard.
don't forget, we met a Mind Flayer who didn't like us. Granted,
No.
that was on Leviathan, so it's probably not a problem anymore, but still,
He
we did
will
meet
be.
one.
He exists because we're gonna get into some Spelljammer bullshit, and I'm down for it. He's
Joe
a
has
Mind
been
Flayer pirate.
giggling in delight the whole night.
There's no other reason to have a Mind Flayer pirate than to have spaceship battle later.
Yeah, that wasn't because it was entirely stolen from a cool pirate thing.
But because
can
I've
be both.
stolen it, I can do whatever I want with it.
Yeah, you can.
Exactly.
So there was a lot, again, another heavy roleplay session, a lot of lore dump. Hopefully this wasn't too much for you guys, but
This was great.
I like.
We got a lot of good with the professor. With
Hell
the
yeah, we
voice
did.
There was-
stuff.
yeah, there
and
a lot of good stuff between Professor Narco and Jade. I kind of like the background investigation crew too of Yuki and Ren.
Yes! That was gonna be my thing!
Research friends, research friends.
I love
Research
that
buddies
Ren
and
buddy
science
cop.
buddies.
I
Yeah.
love that Ren can buddy cop up with anybody.
Yep.
Pretty
And
much.
it's amazing. Ren,
buddy,
buddy cop Ren is great.
Yay.
he's the perfect he's that excellent mix of like straight man and sassy sidekick for all
Mhm.
occasions.
A hard balance, but I
Agree.
enjoy it.
Also, I laughed really hard when Suzanne was like, "Hey, did this guy remember his plans?" And I was like, "Oh shit, that's
Yeah.
right."
Yeah, that's definitely where you got Dave from. It
Yup.
has been a couple of years. There's a lot of singing plants.
And now it's kind of canon that now Dave, like the singing plant thing, is just like the pet rock of Moonhaven.
Yep.
I love it.
We've said it. It's canon. Can't take it back now.
It's canon.
Nope. It's on the recording, so
Obviously.
Look,
forever
if
now.
if we bullshit world building details and Joe doesn't explicitly say no, then that's what's happening.
And it's real.
I mean,
And
that's
he has
what
to
we've been doing this
explicitly
whole
say no,
time.
and he has to say no fast enough.
Yeah. Before we name the NPCs for him.
Yep.
I
This
will
guy's
say
Chad.
I will say sometimes the best writing writes itself. Anyway, that's my nomination. I think my nomination's going to go to Ren and Yuki tonight.
I agree.
Woo!
Ren Yuki, and definitely the professor. But he already has two, so he can't get one anyway. But he had a lot of really good, deep moments
Yeah.
tonight.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
I hope
That
the
analogy
Which is
was
the only
very well
reason
done.
he was not nominated.
I hope the lore dumps weren't too overwhelming. There was a lot of stuff you guys
No,
found out.
no.
You gotta get through it, right?
We found it
We're
out
visiting
in
that
book
library.
form. Yeah. And we got to have like skill checks with it. It was great.
Yeah.
There was something we missed because Professor was trying to help Jade figure out words of things, and now he can't remember something that was happening. So there's still more that we could potentially learn.
Narco really, really just wants to like fire a cannon at this ship. She needs some
Got
cleansing gunpowder right now.
Oh, well, we're about to go on the ship.
Gunpowder.
There might be a cannon on there.
Ooh,
I imagine you rolling up on the
I
ship
think
and you're
gunpowder
like,
could be a rock band name.
imagine you rolling up on the ship and you're like, nope, fuck it, burn it with fire. Don't care what's on it, just burn it down.
No,
But we're the ship for orphans.
Narco's curious enough. She'll step on board. She'll open the hatch. She'll peek in. She'll just see some tentacles, and then she'll close it and be like, I'm head out."
That's fair.
The fishermen come
So-
back up and they're like, oh, what are you doing here? bringing in octopi for the soup today.
All right,
Oh,
guys, I do have to go to bed. I'm so sleepy, but
Lame, but okay.
I know, so lame. But
We
as
love
you guys,
you.
Love
love
you.
Love
you.
Have a good sleep, dear. I'm gonna peace out too because Loki's about ready to bust down her door. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
And she's gone. Um.
Like a leaf in the wind.
So sign off.
penis.
Don't accept strange books from friends. You don't know where they've been.
That's the only place you should accept strange books from.
You don't know what they've done with it.
Not anymore.
I think maybe the real lesson learned here is that book burning is bad.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
It will
Didn't
corrupt
write
your
a book,
soul.
just a page.